see me. Shit.
Oh, fuck.
I can see Bill.
What's up, dude?
What up?
How's it going, man?
Hello.
Welcome to...
I can see you guys.
Okay,
perfect.
cool. Welcome to Nothing's for No One. This is Jason. I'm eating a Cliff Bar.
Perfect. And I'm Bill. Not eating.
And we have our quarantined guest.
Yep. Calling in from home via Skype.
Yeah,
and it's
Mr.
Paul
Aluculesei. Yeah, man. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Adjusting to this quarantine life, but all things considered, I think it's pretty chill. It gives me a lot of opportunity to do stuff that I, wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So
That's cool.
I'm digging it.
Hell yeah.
What about you guys?
It's been all right. I mean, it's cool that we get to work from home. That's like awesome, and it definitely helps like the days go by faster, at least for me. Like before I know it, I'm like, oh shit, it's night now, and like I could just stay home.
Yeah.
But it's been, I don't know, I'm like back and forth on it, man. I honestly thought I'd be a lot more insane about it now, but I'm like definitely getting much more used to it than I had planned. So that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like just being able to, I don't know, relax in a certain way. But I'm definitely noticing myself, like I'm eating shittier because it's easier to, and like I'm not doing like anything productive. I mean, kind of like I cleaned up around like the house and shit, but that's like good. After you do that, it's like, oh, I guess I'll just smoke weed and watch like something on HBO. So, or Netflix or something like that. So I totally powered through Tiger King in like a day. And
oh, wow.
That's an easy one to like not stop watching.
Yeah, definitely. But it's been all right, man. It hasn't been too bad. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. So
nice. That's
been the shit. And I also grabbed the new Doom game and the one from 2016, and those are both pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. I was expecting to hate the work from home thing a lot more than I actually do. It was just kind of a matter of like, for me, sort of trying to keep the normalcy of the day-to-day thing, by like keeping the routine of it, getting up, showering, like getting dressed.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it every day, but every day that I have been able to do it definitely makes me like, it makes it more tolerable. You don't get sick of just like, you don't feel as cooped up in the house because you actually like get up and shower and do everything that you normally do.
Yep. I've noticed the same thing with me too. Like the days where I just roll out of bed and I'm just like, oh, now I'm going to work. That's definitely been like harder than it is to actually get up and like have some coffee and like make some food and then take a shower and then be up and be like, all right, now I'm ready to like do this shit. So, and it's cool.
I've been doing like to-do lists too, just to like keep myself productive.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so easy to just like waste away the day.
I know.
Being cooped up inside.
Yeah, I need to start to do those lists and shit. I was literally thinking about that this morning because I've worked every single day. Today's the first day I've had off since like last 2 Sundays ago. So, because I've been working, because I've had those overtime opportunities. So I'm like, fuck yeah, like I'm gonna take them. And it's just been like, it's been cool to. I mean, today I was like, I'm going to get all this shit done. And then I slept a shitload and then like went to the grocery store and then that was it. And I was like, I'm just going to chill and play video games until I have to come here. And that's exactly what I did. But
nice.
There is more shit I want to get done. And like, me and Bill jammed last week together and like I jammed with Danny. So it's been cool to still like play music. But it's probably going to be a while until we do full band practices again. So
yeah. Weird with the quarantine thing too, because I don't know, if your practice space is kind of smaller, you're definitely not doing the social distancing thing.
Exactly. Well, we got enough room to stay 6 feet apart, thankfully.
I'm surprised that there hasn't been any like notifications at all at our practice space. Has there like posts?
No.
Yeah.
No.
My other spot, they sent out this whole page thing saying like, essentially, if you get together with a large group, they will shut the whole building down.
Whoa, really?
It's a little scary. And then, for us, we're a 3, for something that's waiting in that practice space, we're a 3-piece, so it's not really a massive gathering, but they don't specify how big a gathering has to be for them to shut you down. It's pretty vague and all that.
Yeah.
So like Gobo is pretty worried about it, whereas like me and Gay were like, I think we're all right.
I think you guys are fine too.
I mean, granted, we are in a much smaller room compared to like Roman Reigns, but I don't know. It's enough room that we can keep the
distancing.
The 6 feet away from each other.
Our room is actually pretty big. It's bigger than the music garage was. So
yeah, it's almost like twice the size.
It's awesome because we all get to spread out and shit. So It's definitely cool. Yeah, that's been cool. But I mean, when I've been going to our practice spot, I still hear a shitload of bands in there, like playing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, well, like, you know, there's still a shitload of cars here. So some people are not following the rules. Dude, there were signs at Aldi today where people are like, you got to stand 6 feet apart. I'm like, yeah, okay. When like 8 of your children are walking around everywhere, like, good luck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but...
My buddy Joe has a spot over at Treehouse, and he, I guess they shut down. They just closed the doors. And if they, like, I think people can kind of come in and out, but if they catch you actually, like, rehearsing or practicing, they're going to, like, ask you to leave.
Wow.
Something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, I hope they, like, don't charge for rent then. I would be pissed.
Yeah, that'd be fucked.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their arrangement is over there, but he said that, because I sold him my drums, like, a month ago, and I was asking him, you know, how it's all working out. And he's like, well, I haven't even been able to go and put new heads on there and tune it up because I'm basically kicked out of my practice space now. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. But at the same time, it's like if you're going to shut down your place and people are still paying for the facilities, it's kind of like...
Well, it's Superior. They made a note saying, like, you still have access to, like, your property, which makes sense because you're paying rent. Yeah. And they also said that, like, you know, like anybody, if you can't pay rent, you know, contact them. They'll work something out.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Hell yeah,
that's really killer.
Yeah, we haven't heard shit from our spot about anything. I mean, at least Jack hasn't told us.
Yeah. Because I think Jack's the only one that gets emails from the building, if they even send them out. I feel like that building's so low-key about that shit that there's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hence why we pay such cheap rent.
Mm-hmm. Where are you guys at again?
We're at the Sound Space, but we actually just put in our 30-day notice to move out because of this whole thing. Because we're like, you know, our room is like 10 by 10, so it's really small.
Sure.
So, yeah, it just kind of cramped, and we're in, like, Greg in particular is taking this quarantine thing really seriously. So, he hasn't really been leaving. Even to the grocery store, he's been having like produce and everything delivered to him.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I don't really feel comfortable leaving the house and going and practicing with you guys in a tiny cramped room. So let's figure something out. But we put in our 30 days notice, hoping that our landlord would cut us a deal or something, you know, but he was just like, all right, I'll see you guys at the end of the month. Just drop off your keys. I'll send you the deposit back. So whatever.
Yeah. At least you get that security deposit, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Cool. So.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's basically just a storage unit for us for not practicing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's got to be for everybody, I would think. And then otherwise, that's got to be, I don't know. I think that's the only purpose of them now, unless you're actually able to go in and jam. But I wonder what Music Garage is doing.
I feel like they got to be a little more strict, you know?
Yeah. I did notice, though, I went to Walmart and Aldi today. Both stores were pretty much like, it wasn't that bad. Like, there were stocked items and shit.
I think they're catching up now.
Yeah, and kind of like, there wasn't like I mean, there was an average amount of people you would expect at a grocery store on a weekend, but it was not like wild, you know? So that was kind of cool. I think there's a little bit of normalcy coming back, you know, slightly. But
well, I think all the apocalyptic hoarders got it out of their system. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, for everybody else, you can finally do what you got to do. Which that kind of worried me because, like, I live alone, and so I don't really need stuff all that often right away.
Sure.
And so I was pretty stocked up before all this started. It just happened naturally. It just worked out, good timing or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, dude, I really don't want to, like, go out there if there's, like, all these people going apeshit over fucking toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like, not my thing. So, but it seems like I've talked to other people, and it seems like, yes, it's calmed down quite a bit.
I saw toilet paper at both stores today that I went to. So.
Yeah, my folks finally were able to get, like, paper towels and toilet paper recently.
Oh.
Yeah, for a while they couldn't.
Nice.
It was crazy.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's still sold out everywhere that I'm going. Like,
oh, really?
I got lucky and got one roll of paper towels last time I went out to Walgreens. But other than that, it's like the shelves are always empty.
Yeah.
Are you guys going more often? Like grocery shop?
No,
I only go like once a week usually. I've been going more often because like when I've tried to cook food at home, I'm like, oh, I'll just go out and buy something to cook, and then like I'll do that. But no, I mean, I'm pretty much just going once a week.
I feel like it's just harder to get everything that I need in one trip just because stuff's sold out all the time.
Exactly,
so I'll go multiple times in the week just to get like the remaining stuff I need. So
yeah.
But other than that, I try not to go too often.
Mm-hmm. I went on to last Friday because it was like the first day we got to work from home, and I woke up and I went to Target when they opened so I could buy Animal Crossing, and because I don't know why I thought I was like, oh man, I bet there's gonna be people here to buy it. I'm like, well, nobody's going out, and sure enough, there was nobody there buying Animal Crossing, so I had it all to myself, and it was the shit, and just for like the hell of it, I went by the toilet paper and they still had like a shitload. I was like, I'm gonna grab one of these just because it's like funny. And my dad like left a note on like our back door. He's like, yo, if you go to Target, like if they have toilet paper, get some. But we hadn't. I mean, yeah, we're good for like a year. So
might have to hit you up.
Sure. Yeah, hell yeah, man. You'll have to go through my dad. He's the gatekeeper of toilet paper.
He'd probably
me. Yeah, he does like you. So he'd probably be like, fine, one roll.
That's all you get.
You can give him one roll. Or he'll say none. Yeah. So that's sick. So what have you been occupying your time with at home then? Like when you're not working?
Yeah, I've been doing some mixing. I've got like a few different things that I've been like mixing and mastering. There's like a single for X, or formerly known as Epitasis, now known as Carrion Throne.
Sick ass name, dude. I
like
love that
too,
name. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I want to hear that shit, dude.
Yeah, they're putting it out pretty soon. Like I sent it out to them, and I've been waiting to hear back. So I sent it out. I think last. I think it was like Saturday morning. So, but yeah, should be out soon. Like maybe in a week or so. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Not 100% sure what their plans are, but like it's cool. It's a cool song. Like super heavy. It's basically like a more mature version of what they were already doing. More like atmosphere.
Awesome.
Who's drumming for him now?
Izzy.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I think he is, at least. The last video I saw them playing, he was playing with them. Which is the shit. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, dude's super nice.
Yeah, man, I hope they like do a bunch more shows and shit now.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to get more active. I mean, you know, terrible timing with this thing going around, but it is what it is. But other than that, I just bought a PS4, so I just started playing some stuff online.
Hell yeah! What kind of PS4 did you get? Just the Pro or the regular?
It was the regular one. It was like I did a whole budget buy, so I got a refurbished like 500 gig unit from GameStop.
Nice.
It was like their Blast from the Past pack, so it came with like The Last of Us Remastered and Uncharted 4 and like 2 other games, and then I ended up picking up like some old Call of Duty game, and then like WWE WK18 something.
How was that?
Dude, it's pretty awesome. I just fired it up last night, and the customization options for when you like build a wrestler are absolutely insane.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
Is there like
you can go down to like their earlobes and like pick. Yeah, like you can pick like the width of their earlobes, like how forward or back on their ear it is.
That's awesome.
Then you could probably customize.
I wonder if you could. Yeah, you could. Is there like a crotch option?
Dude, yeah,
camel toe option. Like
not quite.
Hell yeah! I've never played any. The last wrestling game I think I played for it was either for like PS1 or N64.
N64 and was it WCW versus NWA?
Yeah, something like that.
Game ever. The best wrestling
great game.
It's so good.
That's awesome.
I played a ton of WrestleMania 2000 on N64, and also I think the other one was No Way Out, if I remember correctly, or No Mercy.
No Mercy, I think is what it was, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah.
It was like pretty much the same, right? The THQ like wrestling style games, like. Yeah.
Oh, did they make those?
Yeah.
Really? Is THQ still a company?
No, they folded.
Did somebody buy them?
I can't remember. Somebody bought it?
Because they made some movie games too, right?
Like what?
Like games for movies. Like I think they did like the Harry Potter game or some shit.
Yeah, they would do those. Those are just cash grabs because they're always terrible.
Oh, you remember that when every movie that came out there was like a game?
A not good game.
Yeah, I don't think it exists anymore. You don't see that shit a lot.
They're getting better now. That's the thing. Like, I mean, the Spider-Man game wasn't a movie tie-in, but still, it's like even like the comic book character games, like those are still fucking bad.
Yeah, you should check that out for PS4. That Spider-Man game was awesome.
That's so fucking good. The Batman games are amazing.
Yeah.
Like, they're finally like catching up. That new Avengers game looks fucking crazy. Like I'm stoked for that one.
Yeah, it does look cool. That Final Fantasy remake, dude.
Dude, that looks insane.
They made games look so much like movies that they just like don't need the movie version anymore.
Right.
You know, you're basically watching a movie in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Honestly, some of those Batman video games, like the stories in them are way better than any Batman movie that's come out in the last like 10 years. It's
because they actually use a lot of the source material.
Yeah, which is
killer.
And they
can do that, you know?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild, like, how fucking detailed shit is now in those games. I have a bunch of PS4 games, dude. If you want to borrow any, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I've been slowly buying more. I bought the new Doom game for PS4, so.
Yeah, you said you like that, right?
Yeah, I like it, but it's the hard. Dude, I'm not good with like hard video games, and like Doom on the easiest setting, I'm still getting my ass handed to me, dude. Seriously, it's like the hardest shit, and like beating one level in that campaign, I'm playing for like over an hour, and I'm like, fuck, this is like long. It's like every level in the campaign is like its own game.
Massive.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well, what the fuck, like. And every time I'm like, oh, this part, it's like, we got to be close to the end of the level, right? And then it's like, oh, 45 minutes later. And I'm just like, well, I'm still playing it. Like, I was going to go to bed a half hour ago, but I guess I'm going to beat it. It is fucking wild, though. Like, I've definitely haven't, like, been super into first-person shooters since, like, Halo 2. But because Max and Alex are such big Doom guys, I was like, oh, I'll check it out. And they did you see that whole thing about how they did like the Doom choir and they got all those like death metal vocalists together to like record monster sounds and shit?
Yeah, I did see that.
That was pretty cool. So I was like, that was a big deciding factor. I was like, oh, I mean, even Ray did that, which is awesome.
Really cool.
So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll check it out. And it is cool.
They did that for both those games, right? Doom, the last like
No, the first one, it was a metal soundtrack, but they didn't incorporate like other musicians in it. It was just the one guy that did it.
What's that guy's name?
Mark something or
Mick Gordon or Mark Gordon?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this new one is when he got a bunch of like vocalists and stuff in, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which makes sense because like it is like a brutally heavy soundtrack.
Yeah. 9-string or some shit.
9 or 10 or something like that.
I remember the first time I saw a dude with a 9-string. And I was just like, I can't hear anything. That's literally what it sounded like. And I'm not trying to like throw him under the bus or anything, but do you remember that show? It was Max's first show with Warforged, and we played up in Elgin. You drove us there, Bill, because we didn't have a van. And it was with Veil of Nath and Aether. And Aether's guitar player at the time had a 9-string.
Right? The Columns?
Yeah, that venue. Then I don't even know what the venue was called because it's not there anymore. But it sounded so bad in that fucking room. And
it was like a gymnasium, basically.
It was bad. And then this band played that I like. They're called Aether, and they're friends of ours and shit. And they're a good band, but at the time they were playing like 9-strings, and I'd never seen one before. And I was like, oh, that sounds like insanely low, like more than an 8-string. And I was just like, and I couldn't, after a certain point, it's like, yeah, I can't hear anything.
You have no idea what's going on. Yeah, we did a show once at Otto's in DeKalb. It was Roman Ring before you. And this dude busted out like an Agile, like 9-string.
Don't they go up to 10 Agile?
They do now, yeah. And but that at the time, that was like the first time somebody had they started making 9-strings. And I just remember being like, "This is not cool. Like, what are we doing here?"
Did it sound good?
Oh, it sounded terrible.
Yeah.
Because it's. I was explaining to I forget who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody about it, but it gets more difficult to control. Oh, I was telling Gabe about it. I was like, yeah, it's when you start adding more strings, it gets way harder to control all those strings. And he had a great analogy for it. He's like, oh, it's like if I added a shitload of more toms to my kit, and every time you're hitting something, those start ringing, these start ringing because you're hitting all this other stuff, but you're not hitting those. And you got to control it somehow, and it becomes a fucking nightmare. And that's what happens when you start adding more and more strings. Which, and most guys that they're just starting to play those, they don't have that under control. And it just sounds like motion. Like
I'm going to get one. And then I'm going to start a new band.
I think it just takes some time for the technology to catch up with the innovation of the additional strings too. Because, when like 8 strings came out, like it was kind of hard to have like a good 8-string tone. Oh, you know, you had to have like, you had to wait for the decent pickups to be built because all the like generic Ibanez pickups sound like garbage,
Dude, did you know that there used to, like, Ibanez made a Meshuggah signature 8-string?
Yeah, they still do.
I had no idea. Well, we used to get, cause somebody, I saw one.
M2M or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's sick as fuck.
MTM8, I think is what it's called.
They still make it? It's still in production?
So. There's like two versions that they do. It's like the RG style, and then there's like the Iceman style. I saw it.
Oh, is there an Iceman style 8-string? That's awesome. I love an Iceman guitar, dude.
Dude, the 8-string version is pretty sick.
Have you seen you guys know Wes Howe, right? The guitar player.
His like Destroyer Ibanez or whatever is fucking awesome.
Is that the Iceman looking one? Because he's got a new Iceman guitar.
Destroyer. I can't remember.
He's got an Iceman guitar that's like
awesome. Yeah, like the wood finish one. Like, that one's sick as fuck.
Yeah, guitar's really cool. Yeah. I love that shape, dude. I wish I like. Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's so white trash, trailer park shit. It's just like cool. It's like, what is this thing? It's awesome.
Paul Stanley's got his version with the cracked mirror finish.
Yeah, don't we sell that?
Yeah, I think we do. It's like way too expensive. I think it's like $2,200 or something like that.
Wild, dude. Who's gonna buy that?
Old dudes with way too much money, man. Yeah. That's always the answer.
The Weekend Warriors.
True. Yeah, definitely.
So, Paul, what's the lowest tuning you ever had to mix?
Honestly, it's probably like something with a 7-string guitar. I don't think I've ever really done anything with an 8-string. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Patrick Witt, though, he plays like a 6-string bass or something like that.
Okay.
Like the not a baritone, but it's like was it Fender makes one, right? Like the 6-string, but it's a short scale
he plays
bass almost.
Like a full scale bass, but it has like an extra low string, an extra high string, I want to say, something like that.
Oh, okay.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Who makes that?
I mean, doesn't Franco play 6-string bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the same deal. Like he plays a 6 or I think Patrick Witt's might be a 7-string bass actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Damn.
But yeah, and that's probably like the closest I've ever gotten to something crazy low like that. Yeah.
I know.
Isn't Warforged doing 7 strings now?
Yep. At least for the new shit that we're working on at the moment. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, Jace just ordered like some custom Kiesel that he's getting in, and Max is playing. I don't know. Max is playing one of his 8,000 guitars that he has. I don't know. Yeah, like we are doing 7s, and it has been cool because like I'm a fan of lower tunings for bands for sure. I've always I get a kick out of that shit, and no band I've ever been in has gone beyond like. Unless you count my high school band who played 8 strings, which was not, whatever that means. But it's cool. It's sounding cool. It definitely adds like that lower texture. I would kill to have Roman Ring play anything that was lower than drop C.
Nope.
Yeah, you would do it. You would totally do it. I would do it. Yeah. Nate won't. Convince Nate to for me.
What tuning is Warforged doing for the 7 strings?
I think it's. Oh, drop C with a low G.
Oh, okay.
Does that sound right? Does that sound like a tuning?
Well, no. like a tuning, or do you mean a
no, like a tune, like it sounds legit. You can do that.
Like G C.
Okay, I think that's what that is. I could be wrong though. Jace or Max would know for sure because they play guitar, but I don't know. I'm just like, okay, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks though, because now we can't do a lot of things that we had planned. So, just utilizing our time now.
Half the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys had a show lined up too, right?
Yeah, we did. It was like April 3rd or something at Martyrs.
Yeah, it's the same day our show was supposed to be.
Yeah, got canceled. So I think they canceled everything until like the 7th. And I haven't checked since then, but they might have canceled things even beyond that point.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure. Yeah.
It sucks,
I don't know.
Man.
Might be rescheduled or something, but I haven't heard about it yet. So we'll see.
Hell yeah.
Well, let me know, and you could still use that 212.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. That's sick. So how is that project coming along? Silver Lace?
Yeah. We did like a cover because we're going to do this podcast where the host of the podcast covers a song, and then his guests, in this case us, cover the same song, and then we basically have like a battle royale between our 2 versions of the same song.
Oh, really?
And so we did a cover of "Do I Want to Know" by the Arctic Monkeys, and that was kind of cool.
Sweet.
We just ended up like deconstructing the whole song and just like making it completely like a completely different song, basically.
That's awesome.
But even that. Finish that, and then of course the podcast gets canceled because of the coronavirus too. So we're just like sitting on it, just waiting. And We've been writing a bunch of stuff. We've got like 5 or 6 songs like ready to go in various like forms of completion.
Oh hell yeah! That's awesome.
It's been fun. I really do love playing with those dudes. It's a good time for sure.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Damn.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard a full Arctic Monkeys song in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe I haven't. I just don't know it.
You probably have. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I have.
I mean, that song was huge, and I think it was like 2016 that it came out or something like that. Okay. It was all over the video.
Damn, I'll have to check it out. And
I'll send you once we're off here, I'll send you our cover version of it.
Yeah, please do. I would love to hear that shit. Hell yeah, man. Well, that's sick. That's awesome. So you guys got tunes ready to go, and then
pretty much. And it was kind of the first, because like how like when you start a band with new people, you don't really have like a direction, and you're trying to like figure out what you're supposed to sound like.
Yep.
That cover was like a good opportunity for us to kind of like create a sound.
That's
like,
awesome. Yeah.
Like, here's a song. Now, what does that song, like the song's already written, so you just take those parts of the songs, that song, and then you just make it your own, so.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It's like a good guide for that.
Definitely. I never thought of it like that. I've honestly like, man, I can't even remember the last time I covered a song like in an old band, when I was younger. But yeah, that is a really good way to like learn chemistry through, of your other fellow musicians and kind of like figure out that type of stuff. I guess I never really thought, I would never think of that approach. That's really smart. I'm just
it just takes like one element of the equation out of the equation, because like you don't have to write a song. It's already written. You just got to figure out how you want to arrange it, what kind of like textures you want to add to it, like all that stuff. So it's definitely a lot easier to sort of create a new sound rather than trying to write something that just takes forever to come up with the parts even,
Yeah, dude. And then you got me just sitting there being like, oh, write a riff that sounds like Discord. Write a riff that sounds like Deeds of Flesh. Write this.
It still works.
Yeah, it does work, though. It does work sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it works that way. But like,
wait, has Roman Ring ever covered a song together?
No, I don't think ever in the history of the band.
No, I mean, maybe, I don't think Small Town Murder ever did either.
I think they did. Nate mentioned something about that, but it was like a long time ago.
Yeah, well, Roman Ring, never covered anything. I would.
It'd be fun. I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be dope to hear your guys' interpretation of somebody else, especially if it's like another like metal band, like not something where you're like taking a pop song and making it metal or something. God,
yeah, dude.
There's enough people doing that.
I never want to hear that again for the rest of my fucking life, dude. Yeah, I hate that. It's just so like, I mean, I used to think it was cool. I used to think it was awesome. And then it's just like,
it just got overdone.
There's so many levels of shit to it where it's like, you have bands like, remember those like the Punk Goes Pop compilations?
No, Pop Goes Metal or
any of them where it's like Miss May I is covering a Taylor Swift song. And I'm like, oh, this metal band I fucking hate is covering a pop song that I think is already pretty fucking bad. And it's just, you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, that sucks. And then you got guys like Jared Dines and whoever the fuck else. And like somebody posted they did, like Jared Dines did some coronavirus song with a deathcore band. Yeah. People were like, this is fucking heavy. I'm like, nah, this is dumb and I fucking hate it. And I can't, like, I couldn't even finish it. I was like noticing my anger build up. And I'm like, all right, I shouldn't be getting this mad at a song or a video. But then at the same time, I'm just like, man, like,
I love your hatred for
there's something about it where it's just like, I can't fucking stand this. Like, yeah, it's weird shit, but I
feel the same way, honestly. When I like all those, I don't know what to even call it. There's like a genre for it, probably like some kind of name.
Yeah,
for those types of videos.
Yeah, YouTube core, like cover core. It's just like, and what is it for? Money? Like they're doing it to get money, so it's like
absolutely.
It's like idea mining. You know what I mean? It's like what dumb combination can we do? It's just like,
I mean, on the other hand, at least somebody's making money doing music. Granted, your integrity is obviously in jeopardy with that stuff, but
like Rob Scallon did like a Spawn of Possession cover with a banjo, and it's just like, dude, who the fuck?
Did he really?
Yeah,
I've
and it's
seen
like
the other
who
ones,
asked
like
for that? I would never. I don't want that. Who asked for that shit?
The internet.
Every once in a while though, you do run into like a great use of that idea. Like that oboe player playing necrophages.
Yeah, that was actually sick.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, that was sick. And that song is sick. Fermented Awful Discharge. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite necrophages songs. So when I listened to it and saw him do it, that was really cool. Yeah. But see, that was cool because it was just a dude in a fucking like townhouse in Elgin, like shredding on an oboe under like white carpet. You know, it wasn't like anything insanely like.
He didn't put a lot of effort.
Yeah, it's not like this guy that's like, oh, we're gonna go to. Like there was one video of Rob Scallon and Sarah Longfield. They did
they do a lot of shit.
Like a Slayer cover or something in like a prison.
Oh, the kid in a prison?
Yeah.
They did one with like a bunch of kids. I remember that.
Yeah, whatever. And it's just like, oh, okay, I hate this more now. Like, it's just like, why don't you just do something cool from your bedroom? Like playing oboe and, you know, and doing a necrophages cover. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What is this world coming to? You know? And I feel like that type of shit is definitely like, because now it's like everybody's home. What are you going to do? Surf the internet? You know, what are you going to watch? Like guys that are there to entertain. I mean, I get it. And I don't really like, either way, when those videos come out, it doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? It's not like they're not doing anything hurtful, I think. But it's just like,
it seems like it's kind of affecting you.
In a way, the way I think of it, and it's not like, it doesn't make me mad, but it's just, it makes me like annoyed when everybody's like, oh, you should do a metal cover of like a Britney Spears song. And everybody's like, oh, it's funny. And it's like, all right, I get that you're like patronizing all the music that I like, but you know, I actually like it too. You know, like I care about it. And it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Well, that's your first mistake.
It's like it's like, not even like I could respect Weird Al to no end, you know what I mean? And like real parody musician guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different though.
But it's just like, when everybody's like, oh yeah, I would never listen to this if it wasn't a Taylor Swift song or whatever the fuck, you know, not that I hear a lot of people saying it, but it's, I just feel like
you think people check it out more because?
Oh yeah.
It's
definitely.
Yeah, but do you think does that turn anybody? Like they're like, man, hearing a metal version makes me like metal now. Like
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think
or
maybe
vice versa.
Yeah, maybe vice versa. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know.
See, if somebody was
people might find it like entertaining if they're like not used to metal or it's like they're not fans of metal. They'll see a song and they're like, oh, this song's familiar to me, but it's sung in this different way, and then they think it's like entertaining or just like the novelty of it is interesting to them.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe they will get into metal. Wouldn't you appreciate that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Yes, I would and I wouldn't, because I kind of hate the fact that it's like you needed a novelty to like a style of music, but at the same time, it's like, hey, whatever the fuck gets you into it, I don't give a shit. Yeah, exactly. It's like I definitely owned a copy of Down with the Sickness. You know, like I owned that CD, and I owned like I'm trying to think what other. I had a Crazy Town CD. Like,
I never jumped in that pool.
I had the Crazy Town CD that didn't have Butterfly on it. I had the one that came out after, because I heard a song on Q101 and I was like, damn, this is sick. It was not sick.
Not sick.
It definitely doesn't hold up. I haven't listened to it in probably 10 years.
They're like back together again or something.
Who fucking cares,
I saw
dude?
Something. I would think you
I had a POD CD as a kid.
Did you? Did you have the big one that had Satellite on it?
Yeah, that is the one.
Oh, yep. I see. I had the one before that. Southtown.
I feel so alive. Dude, that song's POD was like weird, man. They're a fucking weird mix of like, we're a Christian band, but we look like a bunch of hard ass dudes from California. And like, I didn't realize they were a Christian band until they put out that CD Testify, and it had like a cross on the album cover. And I was like, oh fuck, like this is a Christian band kind of.
I mean, I think they identified as a Christian band.
Did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Now you mentioned it.
I think that they did.
They
were definitely like new metal-y. Bill, did you ever get into them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first album, whatever the single was, Southtown was like my shit.
Southtown?
Okay. Yeah.
Sick.
That's where I heard them, but you guys were probably like 10 when that came out.
Yeah, dude, that reminds me, there's a Seven Dust Live album that's got a really funny name.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's something corny.
I gotta look it up.
But yeah, you get a kick out of this then, Jason. Capsize covered Peach's Fuck the Pain Away.
Oh, nice. That's a great song.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun because when we recorded it, I had a bunch of my friends come over and do crew vocals. And so the entire chorus line is crew vocals. And it's the funniest fucking thing.
Did you put it out?
Yeah. If you go to our Bandcamp and download the album, it's a secret track on there.
Oh, sick.
Nice.
Don't do it.
I saw her at Pride Fest a few years ago. She was great.
Really?
Yeah. The Seven Dust album's called Southside Double Wide
the
Acoustic Live.
I have that.
Southside Double Wide Acoustic Live. What does that mean? Southside Double Wide, like a trailer? Come on down in a trailer. We'll play you some of that acoustic Seven Dust.
Ask them.
I would listen to that. I probably would like it too, but
I have the copy. I'll bring it.
Oh, you have it? I think Max has it too, but it's sick. Well, fuck yeah, man. So oh man, fuck. I had a question to ask you, and now I'm like blanking on it. God damn it.
I did want to say, because you brought up Tiger King, I just started watching that earlier today.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen it all the way through?
Oh, I watched it. I've watched it in like a day, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
How far have you gotten?
I've seen like 2 episodes so far.
Wow.
So
you've barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, you're in for a treat. The next one, the 3rd episode gets wild, dude.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Yeah.
It's already like off the rails insane. Like the fact that they're just like buying these expired meats and like feeding them Walmart, to the tigers.
Yeah, that's so gross.
And, like the living conditions for the people are like insane.
Yeah, dude. It's just crazy, like how much that guy is just like literally flying off the seat of his pants, and he's just like, but he's making money, you know, like he somehow has an equation of like, I'm just gonna find people that don't give a fuck and find ways to take care of animals where I don't really give a fuck, and then like, you know what's funny? Apparently, do you know the band Without Waves?
Yeah.
Apparently, on one of their tours, they went to the zoo. Joe Exotic Zoo, and took a picture with him.
I saw that actually on their Facebook. That was so awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. I would love to meet that guy and just be like, dude, you like are the shit.
You can go visit him in jail.
Probably.
Rachel, my girlfriend Rachel's cousin actually went to one of his mall appearances back in the day.
What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What mall?
Yeah. I'm not sure. She just told me earlier today. She was like, yeah, she saw him at some mall when she was a kid.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. He's got a sick mullet, dude.
It's the sickest.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And like the eyebrow ring, like it's like dangling at a weird angle.
It's brutal. Like I always crack up when those memes show up where they show like normal view and then so-and-so's view. And if they have like a bad haircut, you know, it cuts it off in some way. And the one for him, it's this little ring sticking out of the side.
It's so sick,
it's so good. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, man. I just love all the like super white trash threats that he always says. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Carol Baskin,
you fucking bitch. I'll put a cap in your ass in Florida.
Your goddamn face.
Yeah, dude. I love it. And like,
I like that he just put that out there too. Like, on his like internet show, and was just like, "Yep,
he did so much wild shit,
like death threats." Here we go.
There was like he would like put like take like mannequins or something. I forget what he did, but he like you remember on his show he like taped her face to something and like shot it. Yeah. It's like whoa, and you're gonna think that's not evidence to go to fucking jail?
Not in his.
You only got 2 years though, right? Or 22 years?
I think it was more like 20 something.
Yeah,
because it wasn't. Well, I don't want to like ruin it for Paul here.
Yeah, not that it's really a spoiler, but
I did love that line where he's like, "I'll shoot you before I shoot any one of my cats."
Yeah, hell yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, dude, all his shooting shit is so funny. I just love it when he talks about putting a cap in their ass. Like, dude, I'm gonna put a cap in you. Hell yeah, Joe.
Did you find out, like, it's been going everywhere that all the music that he's done was actually written and recorded by somebody else?
Yeah, dude, there was no way that was him. There was no way. Have you heard any of the clips? Because it's like some dude with a deep voice, like, it's beautifully singing country music.
I just assumed he was, like, a decent singer. I think they play some of it in the first episode. That's as far as I've heard it.
No, that's not
They play it throughout the show, and, like...
It gets worse.
It does... There's definitely some where you're like, there's no fucking way that's him.
Well, they show him doing live performances, and he's singing over the songs, and I'm like, yeah, this is totally not... He sounds like shit. Like, it's definitely not him.
That's hilarious.
They can work magic with recordings, but I don't think anybody's that good.
No, nobody's that good. Yeah, it's fucking insane, dude.
Have you watched any of those videos?
His music videos?
Yeah.
I saw one.
They're batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's just like, the one where he's standing on the cop car, and it's like everything's burning and shit. I don't know.
With him and the ladies, like it's so funny.
Yeah.
Or the one that's like devoted to his first husband, which is really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit I want to talk about, but I'm not going to ruin it. So like, yeah, but you're
I'll try and like get through it really quickly so we can get back to this conversation.
Definitely do it because there's a good point I want to bring up, but I'm not going to because it comes towards the end of the show. But yeah, it's wild. It's fucking wild for sure. To think that shit like actually exists is wild
for a long stretch of time too. Like it's crazy how long that was going on.
Yeah.
I can't believe how, like, not only do you have one crazy person, but you have, like, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crazy people just all out trying to crazy each other.
Yeah.
Like, that guy, Doc, is so
Doc
interesting.
Like, how, like, they have to do a documentary on that guy.
Which guy was that again?
Doc Antel was the dude with the harem, the women.
Oh, the guy with the guy that was on the talk shows and shit?
Yeah.
With the long hair?
Looked like Yanni when he's young.
that guy is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude is wild in his... Yeah, dude, it gets even weirder. Like, it's... Once you find out that, like, all these people are pretty much exactly out to do the same fucking thing, it's just like, well, you're all fucking nuts.
Right.
Like... But that's why I like Joe, because, like, Joe definitely embraces it. He's just like, yeah, I know I'm fucking nuts and all this shit is crazy.
He's very self-aware.
And he's putting everybody else on blast where he's like, look at, like, you think this shit I'm doing is bad? They're all doing the same shit.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, you know what? Good for you, man. Like,
yeah.
But also you're a fucking idiot. And like, I can't believe you're a real person. But, you know, it exists.
Like, what are they doing in Oklahoma? Like, what's going on here?
Nothing happens in Oklahoma. That's why they're doing that shit. I fucking hate Oklahoma, dude. It sucks. Have you ever been to Oklahoma?
No, I haven't.
We played a show there and it was like god awful. I mean, it wasn't awful, but it was just like the worst show I think of that tour. And yeah, it was just a shit show of a day. I mean, it was a fine day, but like...
Is that the outdoor one?
No, that was that was in New Mexico. This was like we played at some shithole bar and like...
Should have fucking played GW Zoo.
I would have loved to. I mean, if it was still open at the time. This was last June.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're still posting videos like on their YouTube page. I don't know who's doing it.
GW Zoo?
Yeah.
But isn't it closed? Because
I would assume so, given what's going on, but...
And that other dude who like swindled the fuck out of Joe. Whatever. I'm not going to... We'll talk about something else. We're not going to spoil this. So...
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man. So I see you got some fucking shit on that shelf back there. What are we looking at? Are those like pop figurines?
Yeah, those are Rachel's actually. That's like her collection.
Nice. Oh, sick.
It goes even higher.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah. There we go.
That's cool. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, she's got like a ton of Nightmare Before Christmas ones. Nice. That's like the top 3 shelves, really.
Oh, wow.
And then a bunch of Disney ones and Sailor Moon on the bottom, then Parks and Rec on the second from the bottom.
That's cool. Man, they make those for fucking everything.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw some Yu-Gi-Oh ones the other day and I was like, oh, those are kind of sick. Every single time, like they'll always put something out where I'm like, oh, this is actually sick. And then I'm like, I can't.
Want to,
and I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't. Because I know if I buy one, I'm going to get like a billion more.
Yeah, and they're like less than $10 a pop. They're super affordable. And like I've got a few myself. Like Rachel got me this Prince one the other day. It's actually pretty sick. It's got like third eye sunglasses.
Oh, hell that's the shit. Damn, that is cool. Yeah. Fuck yeah. That is so sick. So cool. God damn. Where do you buy them? Online?
Oh man, everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
I've seen them at like GameStop and shit, weirdly enough.
Well, they do. What's cool about that company is they do all these weird one-offs where it's like store specific.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Gotta like be ready for that, which is why there'll be like a line out the door. People looking for these
really?
things. Yeah.
Do they have a lot of resale value?
Yeah. Like, dude, go to fucking C2E2 and see the prices on some of those.
They're wild.
Fucking crazy. Like $200, $300.
Damn.
For like a $10 or less like figurine. That's it's crazy. The collectors out there, which makes sense because they kind of make it like that where it is like a limited version of stuff, and and
so you're more enticed to buy it. Yeah.
And then depending on the character, obviously.
Yeah, they had some dark crystal ones, and I was like, fuck, cool. I want all of them. But
Disc Replay has like the best selection of pop figures I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen like the walls that they have there of those things. Yeah, it's insane.
Literally walled. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and it is cool that they have them for everything. I just feel like I bought my mom one. I bought her a Game of Thrones one years ago.
Cool. Which character?
And it was one of the dragons.
Oh, that's awesome.
She still has it. I think it's at her work or something like that. So
I got from my buddy Nick. I got him Harry and Marv from Home Alone because he like loves that movie.
Oh, that's sick! Damn, dude, they have
so
those.
Cool. Yeah, and then a buddy of his got Kevin McAllister. It's like it's so cool. Yeah, he's got like the little collection.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Don't you have some Twin Peaks ones?
Yeah, I do. I have cool. I have Dale Cooper and well, I'm looking at it. It's hard to see.
The log.
Laura Palmer. Yeah.
Oh, you have Laura Palmer? Damn, that's
Laura
sick.
Palmer. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like she's like wrapped in plastic. Like it's the dead Laura Palmer.
Oh fuck, that's so sick. Holy shit, man. Damn, dude. Did you watch the return of Twin Peaks?
Yeah, season 3 was awesome.
Phenomenal.
I thought it was like they just took like everything that David Lynch did before that and like incorporated into a new season of Twin Peaks.
Totally.
I loved it.
Totally did. It was so sick. I think that's something I've been debating on rewatching again, like just from start to finish, like the beginning of the series, then the movie, and then the third season again. But like that's a lot of time.
I think Fire Walk With Me is pretty underrated. Like people kind of give that movie some flack.
Which I don't understand why. I think it's one of his best movies in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
agree.
it's awesome. Yeah, that is super weird.
I've rewatched it a few times. I love Fire Walk With Me.
It's great.
Awesome.
It is definitely good. I read this whole it's kind of like an autobiography, but it's set up like it's about like David Lynch's whole life, but it's divided into chapters. So it's like one chapter will be somebody writing about like a period of time in David Lynch's life, like it's an author, and then the other chapter will be him writing the chapter reflecting on that part of his life and what it was like. And yeah, it's really sick. It's definitely really entertaining.
I gotta check that out. And you read that other one that he did, Catching the Big Fish?
Yeah, Adrian actually has it. He let me borrow it, and I read that whole thing. That's really cool. But a lot of it is based in like his whole thing with transcendental meditation. Like a lot of it comes with that, which is cool to hear his perspective on it because like I don't really have that much knowledge at all on meditation. So it was kind of cool to see like and learn a lot more about it. But it's definitely centered around a lot that. And part of me was like, man, if I actually did that, I wonder if I would like perceive this book any differently. But it is really cool how he frames like his thought process on a lot of art and ideas in that book. And it's a really fun read because it's like, the chapters are really short. Some pages only have a couple sentences on them. And it's cool because it's like he gets his ideas across in all these really interesting ways, like where they'll either be really simple or they'll be like super big and expansive. But it's definitely a cool book to read. I read that one twice, actually. So
I think I bought it after I heard you talk about it on an episode. And yeah, it's awesome. I thought it was great. It's super easy to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you mentioned, some of the chapters are just like really brief. And it's kind of cool though, because if you read those chapters, the brief ones, and you just kind of like reflect on them for a while, like you really think about what it is that he's saying, like there's so much to get out of it.
Exactly.
You know, you can kind of like take a piece of it and then just read 2 pages and then just think about it the rest of the day, and you get so much out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that is what's so cool about it. And that's why I like that book and I like the other one, because it's like you get the real insight on how like he works and like his ideas and stuff. And then like with the autobiography, you know, you learn about all this shit behind a lot of the movies that he did and behind like the people that were backing those movies and his failures and his successes. It's like, it's crazy shit. That guy has done like a lot of shit, and like he's been through a lot of shit too with just people in the business and whatnot. Like, I don't know much about the film industry at all. Like, I mean, all three of us definitely, I think, have a pretty good grasp on the music industry, at least, just because we've been around it for so long. But it's just so crazy to me to think that, like, other types of art have such, like, they each all have equally booming industries, you know, like, that have so many different layers to them and whatnot. It's just, that was definitely, like, one of the most open experiences I've had learning about the film industry and like what really goes behind like a lot of huge movies and like the steps you have to take towards that.
It takes a while. Yeah,
it's wild.
A lot of people involved. Yeah, a lot of money being thrown around. So yeah,
his stories about Dune are awesome in that book.
There's actually a documentary about the making of Dune where they were trying to get a different director to do it before Lynch ended up doing it.
Yeah.
And it's the guy who did that movie Holy Mountain, I want to say. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I am familiar with it. I don't know the guy's name, but I know that movie, and I know
I'm blanking on the name too, but my bass player Sam was saying that there's a whole documentary about it, and basically about the movie that was supposed to get made that didn't, and then eventually it ended up turning into David Lynch's Dune, and he said that that's like totally worth checking out. Amazing documentary.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. That is really cool.
Jodorowsky, I think is the guy's name, or it's like Jorow, something like that.
Yeah, dude, Lynch was hit up by George Lucas to do I think to do Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And he said no. He just like flat out was like, no. Which is like sick that he just did that. He's just like, yeah. And he was real about it. I remember in the book he talks about like, because like George Lucas took him out to lunch and they were talking about it, and he was like, dude, this is your thing. Like, this is your whole world. Like, I don't want to fuck that up, and it's cool. It's interesting because like you would never picture. I'm curious now because they're coming out. There's I think a Dune movie coming out this year or next year.
Yeah, right.
However that ends up going on. Yeah. Have movie theaters been like frozen now?
Yeah, they're all shut down. That's why they're like a lot of movies are streaming right now.
Instead?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, they're still like technically in theaters, even though you can't go in a theater.
Crazy.
Which is cool, but then I'd rather go to a theater.
Me too. What were you about to say? I'm sorry, Paul.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I've never seen the original Dune or, the Lynch movie, Dune. Have you checked it out?
I have seen it before. It used to be on Netflix. I think it still might be, or it might not be. Yeah. It might be on Hulu then. It's always like, I've definitely seen it. I saw it somewhere recently. I didn't watch it, but I saw it on a website for streaming, maybe Amazon or something. But yeah, I did. I have seen the initial Dune, and it is cool and it is bad. And, it's like all over the place. Like some of the shit he did for like set design is really cool, and some of the like practical effects they use are really cool. But yeah, there's just some. Have you ever read the book Dune?
No,
I haven't. Fucking awesome book, and
isn't it a series of books?
Yeah, there is a series of them that Frank Herbert did, and then when he died, his son started doing books in the series. But like. I've read the first Dune, which I think is the best, and then I read part of the second one, and I couldn't really get into it as much. But it is cool. It's just a lot different than previous Dunes, or the original. But it's like you read that book and how long it is, and how insane of a fucking story it is, and it's just like in my head, it's just like wow, like I don't know how the fuck you would make this into a movie and it would be this good. Right? Like I don't know how you could do that.
It'd have to be in multiple parts, which. I think that's one of the downfalls of the movie is that, I mean, it's a long fucking movie, but still it's very dense material that it's hard for them to jam it all in.
Yeah. I mean, if they did like, and it's probably wouldn't even be good, but you know how they did like The Hobbit in 3 parts? Mm-hmm. Like when
I think that came to fruition.
Yeah, I could see Dune maybe cutting across more like that, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, well, maybe you just should make this into a movie. Right. Maybe you should just let it like live as a really good book.
Because what's the story with the new movie? Like,
I don't know. I know it's got a lot of new actors in it though, like guys that you would probably know that I don't know, but I don't know much else about it. But it's weird. It's weird because it's very like the book is dated. You read the book and you're like, yeah, this is some like 80s sounding sci-fi type shit. And I think it was written even before then.
I'm sure.
But like seeing that in 2020 or, in this decade is going to be definitely like, I would think that they would have to change a few things to make it more like believable. And then that is such a risk because it could either be so cool or so fucking lame.
Well, yeah, the diehards might be mad.
Yeah.
I really hope they don't do the young adult novel like movie adaptation.
I think we're like almost at the end of that now, so it might not happen, which would be nice.
But everything is like the Hunger Games sort of
yeah. Dude, I've never seen a Hunger Games movie.
I've seen parts of one. It was on HBO one day, and I was like, just kind of watching it, and it's so distracting because Woody Harrelson is wearing like a wig the entire time.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like long blonde hair, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't believe Woody Harrelson was in The Hunger Games.
Why not?
Because why? It's like, why? Oh yeah, Woody Harrelson, really the best actor for this young adult movie. It's just what? I love Woody Harrelson.
Cheers.
But
come on, man.
I don't know. I'd rather watch him in True Detective than
that's much better.
You know.
Yeah, yes, I rewatched season 1 of True Detective not long ago.
Yeah,
excellent TV.
Dude, that season's so fucking good.
Have you seen The Outsider yet on HBO?
No.
Definitely recommend checking that out. It's somewhat similar. It's actually based off a Stephen King book, but it's not like dumb Stephen King shit. Like, I was kind of shocked when I found out after I started watching the show, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is based off like a Stephen King book. But Jason Bateman's in it, and then that other dude, I can never remember his name. He's an Australian actor. He's like the main role, and he's great in it. I'm going to look up his name now. Carl Irvine?
Urban?
I don't think so.
Oh. Is it the comedian?
No.
What's that guy's name?
Not The Outsiders. The Outsider. Damn it. Not Rob Lowe. The guy's name is Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
he's awesome.
Yeah, he was in Captain Marvel and...
Yeah. He was in Captain Marvel.
The one Star Wars Rogue One.
Captain Marvel. Oh, was he in Rogue One?
Mm-hmm.
I need to see that again.
It's good.
Didn't it used to be on? Now it's probably on Disney Plus, right?
It's either on Disney or Netflix.
Do you guys have Disney accounts?
Hell yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Not really. I'll watch it for The Simpsons, and like every once in a while I'll go and check out an old cartoon that I used to watch, but that's about it.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used mine in a while, to be honest.
Are they putting all the Marvel movies on there?
Eventually, but they're, contractually, they're going to go back to Netflix at some point, too.
Or did they have to?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah. It's just in the contract.
In what contract?
Whatever, rights
streaming
that
licensing?
Netflix owns and paid for.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
I think at any given time, I don't think all the Marvel films will be on Disney. They'll all be on there eventually, but never at the same time.
At the same time, yeah. Damn.
That's why you just got to own them, man.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm good. I'm just curious to see how that all transpires. Isn't it insane that
I don't know. I like it because
the TV industry has changed so much
I know.
because of all these streaming services. I just bought a Hulu account for myself the other day, and I was just looking at everything that was on there. I'm like, God damn! There's really no reason to ever turn on a TV and put on a channel anymore. For me, at least.
Yeah. Not for our generation.
And I don't know. There's something about streaming more that I prefer. Even now, when new shows are on, I wait till they're done so I could just watch it all in one go.
Have you guys watched Pluto TV?
No, I've heard about it though. Do you like it?
Yeah, I there's something that I miss about being able to watch something in the middle of an episode, kind of just like
jumping into it.
Yeah, there's something about getting into the meat of the episode right away without worrying about it setting up anything and then knowing whether or not you like a show that way. And Pluto TV basically is set up almost as if it was like a cable service where it's got a ton of different channels dedicated to different stuff. So there's a 24-hour Fear Factor channel. They just play Fear Factor 24 hours.
Drinking horse semen on fucking with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Now you're going to drink this bottle of horse semen. Great, dude.
Awesome.
Not that he talks like that, but...
That's good enough.
But you can flip through all those channels and just watch random stuff. And trust me, a lot of it is random as hell. Really weird old school stuff. There's a whole Unsolved Mysteries 24/7.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Does that cost money? Obviously, I would assume.
It's free. They just play ads.
Oh, okay. Can you buy a no ad account?
No. Just straight up. I think maybe you can, but I'm pretty sure it's just straight up. It pays for itself with advertising, and that's the way they're keeping it.
That's fair. I hate fucking ads though, man. I paid my Hulu account. I paid for no ads. So
yeah, Hulu is especially bad because their ads are always repeating the same ads over and over.
It sucks, dude. I mean, I remember when I had when Hulu used to do free accounts. Do you remember that? When they first started, and there were ads. I used to watch that show, The Night Gallery, on there. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, it's an old show.
Yeah,
right?
It's a Rod Serling show, but it's awesome. But I remember I'd watch these episodes and I'm like, fuck, I've seen this ad for toothpaste 7 times already, and it makes you want, and it's just it sucks. So when I saw that, I think my Hulu account is $12 a month. and like the regular account is like $8. I'm like, I'll pay a couple extra dollars for no ads. Like, fuck it.
I don't mind it because then it's just time for me to fuck around on my phone.
Yeah,
just let it happen.
Have you heard of that show Dave that's on Hulu right now? That Lil Dicky show.
I just watched the first episode yesterday. It was all right.
I like it a lot.
It's good. Once you start watching a couple episodes, it's really good.
It's sick, and it's sick because he has like real rappers on it too. So it's like funny that like they agreed to do it. Like there's an episode with Trippie Redd, and like. That dude to me is scary. Like, I think that dude, I like him as a rapper, but I also think he's kind of scary as like, he seems like an unhinged type of dude. And he's young. He's like 21 or 20.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just like, wow, how did you get this guy to go along to do this like TV show? Because he's like an extremely relevant rapper. Like, he's still putting out records that are like huge. And like, it's to me, it's like insane to see him on like a comedy show. But it's cool. It's almost like Eddie Lynn Paris was describing it as like, Curb Your Enthusiasm meets like hip hop. And I'm just like, damn, yeah, that's very, very true. Have you been watching the new season of Curb?
I have, yeah. Dude. I've got mixed feelings about it. Like,
me too.
It's got great moments, but I feel like it's the first season where the show is like really leaning into the fact that it's like sort of self-aware. Like,
see, I felt like the last season was like that. When it came back after 6 years, I felt then it was super self-aware.
Maybe, yeah. I don't, honestly, I'm not sure if I picked up that last season. I don't know if I saw it because I just got HBO again, like, I don't know, 2 months ago or something. And I just started watching the newest episodes right away. So,
yeah, there's one season before the newest one when it came back. And then, like, it's actually now a lot of the episodes are co-written by, you remember that show, The League, that was on FX? One of the head writers from that has been co-writing a lot of the episodes with Larry David. And it does feel very self-aware. That's a good description of it.
Man, The League that's a show where I maybe liked like 1 or 2 seasons of it, and then it got really bad really fast.
I agree. I think it
goes off the rails towards the end.
Yeah,
I did like more than the first 2 seasons, but like the last season is like the worst.
It's
like it just gets way too out of hand. I was like, all right, this is no longer has this like realism to it. It's just kind of like, what are we doing? Like, why are you doing this? But I think they all tapped out. I think that's why.
I'm sure. Yeah. It feels like such like a Spike TV show. Like, this is for fucking dudes. Like, and that's why, like, that's when I kind of felt like it was kind of funny the first couple seasons. And then I was like, all right, I kind of hate Nick Kroll. And I kind of hate a lot of these other people. And then it got to the point where I was just like, yeah, I can't do this that much anymore. So it's weird to me that like that guy, like the writer of that show is writing Curb. It's like, man, Larry David, come on, dude. Like, you could still do this. But I think he's like, I don't know, he's definitely getting older, I don't know how many more seasons they're really going to do. And like there are moments on the new season where I'm like, oh, that's genuinely funny. And like some of this is clever, but some of it is just like, all right, this is definitely something I could have seen being on The League and I would have just shrugged it off. Like,
that's a really good way to put it. Yeah. Like there's some element of it that is just sort of like, I don't know if cheesy is the right word, but it's like something like that where it's starting to kind of lose the belief. Not that it was that believable to begin with, but the fact that it's like starting to become less and less believable as it goes on.
It's much more like a lot of the gags are way more like, whoa, that would never happen just walking into a place, or like the part with like the Nazi dog or whatever the fuck. Like, it's like, what, dude? Like, that would never happen on a Curb episode or even a Seinfeld episode, Like, at least without there being some type of like, because that was the best part about Larry David is he always does his comedy in a way where it's like, oh shit, like I've definitely thought about that before and like it's never been done. But now it's like, self-aware is a really good way to put it, because I mean they're coming up with all these terms and it's just like, oh, you're just doing your term gags now. I get it, and like it's almost like a parody on itself.
When I saw the Nazi dog episode, it reminded me of the racist dog episode, where I was just like, that's kind of derivative at this point.
Yeah.
They're repeating previous seasons like jokes at this, Yeah. So
I did like the Make America Great hat, Make America Great Again hat. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that episode. Yeah. That was a good one. Have you guys watched The Office like all the way through?
Yeah, I did.
Been a while though.
I mean, I've watched it at least twice years ago, but yeah, I've seen. I remember watching it on the air, like until it was over, and then
I watched a lot of it live, And then when Michael left the show, I kind of like lost interest. And then
it's pretty
I
rough.
saw a little bit of it, but yeah, those later seasons got really rough. And recently Rachel went back and started watching it from the beginning, and we just got through those like last 2 seasons, these last like week or two. And they make you hate all the characters that you used to love.
Yeah.
Like they make everyone so unlikable.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Andy's super annoying. Jim and Pam are going through their like breakup thing. It's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's annoying. Yeah, it sucks. It's just like, let the show go. And people still like, The Office is good. I do think it's a good show. And I think like the initial seasons, like when Michael's in there and it's in its prime, like there's some awesome shit going on for sure. And it's a really like digestible, show. You know what I mean? Like you can watch it and it's like, before you know it, you're like, oh fuck, I just watched 7 episodes of this back to back. But it's so funny that it's like the show for a lot of people. Like I remember there was a good 2 years on Tinder where everybody's like, watch The Office with me. Like, let's watch reruns of The Office. And I'm like, okay.
Well, it's like the next
that's easy to watch, but let's
Friends.
watch something fucked up. Let's go to rotten.com, dude. Let's go to LiveLeak or whatever. Yeah, I want to see some fucked up. I want to see someone's insides, dude. I'm not trying to watch fucking Dwight Schrute make another like anal retentive joke or something like that. I want to see some insides, dude.
Speaking of gore, I saw that Logan movie for the first time last week.
Oh, yeah.
Way gorier than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it's super gory. Yeah.
Like half the movie is just him stabbing people in the head, like right through the, like it's way more violent than the comic books ever were.
I know.
I feel like.
I think it's like a product. I feel like that movie was a product of like Deadpool and shit.
Right.
Definitely.
'Cause everybody made a big deal about it being R-rated.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, let's do an R-rated movie. I liked the movie Logan, though. I thought it was, I only saw it once, but.
I liked it too. It's pretty decent, especially like by, comic book movie standards. It was pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Did you see the black and white version or the regular version?
There's a black and white version?
I want to check out the black and white.
I've heard like people said like it's awesome in black and white. Like
really?
It just totally like, even though it's the same movie,
why did
black and white.
Did that always exist or?
They came out after the theaters.
Oh, okay. But they decided it like somebody did or like it's like an official.
Oh, it's an official release. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think
it's called Logan Noir or something like that.
Yeah.
Logan Noir.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Noir, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, my whole view on superhero movies has totally gone down the shitter. Like I used to love them. Now I could like barely stand them anymore. I just feel like it's at the point where it's like, fuck, this is so tired now. And like, well, I mean, I'm sure they'll still make a ton more and they'll do really well. And like some of them I could watch and be like, yeah, this is cool. And like, I respect it for the movie that it is, but it just doesn't do it for me as much. Especially like Captain Marvel. I was just like, this is a movie, a superhero movie. Is it necessary? Definitely not. Like
that one was a weird one just because it just felt like they were like, we need one more character in this movie.
Exactly.
Throw her in. I was like, oh, all right. I liked it. I like all those movies.
I know
like,
you do.
They're
yeah.
easy for me to get into still.
I like some of them,
day.
but even now it's definitely harder for me to watch. Like even the last Avengers, I didn't watch it until I saw like a bootleg of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was just like, well, I guess I finished it,
Well, no, now there's phase 4.
I'll see that Blade movie that's going to be with, what's his face?
Oh, that's right.
Marshala. I can't never say his name.
Yeah, the guy from True Detective.
Yeah.
Marshall Ali.
Yeah, he's going to be Blade. And that'll be sick because I like the Wesley Snipes Blade movies.
Those did not age well.
I still think they're fun to watch.
The first one's really hard to watch. The third one is terrible.
I would much rather.
I still love them.
Yeah, me too. What was the one with Ryan Reynolds?
Third one, Trinity.
Yeah,
that was the one that I always crack up about that because it's famously Wesley Snipes was such a fucking asshole on that filming. He was pissed because of Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel being in it and taking a lot of like time away from her or whatever. And there's a scene where it's at the end where he's like lying down. It looks like he's like dead or something, and he's supposed to open his eyes. He was so mad that he was like, fuck you, I'm not opening my eyes. So they had to digitally put eyes on him. And if you know that now and you look back, you're like, fuck, that looks terrible.
I'm going to have to watch that.
You can look it up on YouTube and you'll see the clip.
That's awesome.
Insanely bad.
That's so sick.
And it's all because he was like, fuck this production.
I was gonna bring up something similar. I think there was like he refused to do scenes with Ryan Reynolds at one point. So there's like blooper reels where Ryan Reynolds is like in the car talking to like Blade, but Wesley Snipes is like not in the car with him.
Why would he not do that?
Standing in. He fucking hated the idea of having these younger kids coming in and like taking away his screen time.
Which he's still the main character though.
Right, but he did lose like considerable amount of screen time because they had to show Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel.
Sure, you know? But who cares?
I also
does that mean less money?
I don't think so.
I think that was like right before he went to jail for tax evasion too.
So obviously he had money.
Yeah, he did, man. You ever seen New Jack City?
Man, that's been a long time.
Have you seen
New Jack
Paul?
City?
With him
is John Lithgow in New Jack City, or am I thinking of something else?
That's something else. This has got Ice-T in it and Chris Rock. Like Chris Rock when he was way younger. Dude, you have to see that movie and then picture Wesley Snipes' role in that as Blade. It's the sickest shit when you're high, dude.
Wait, which was first, New Jack City or CB4?
I never saw CB4, so I don't know. I think
one of those is like Chris Rock's like first like film.
I feel like CB4 might have been first.
Maybe it's that.
Because like Chris Rock in New Jack City, he's the homeless like drug addict that turns like clean and helps out the cops. And yeah, that movie's wild, dude. Like, it's insane. There's this like the ending scene where like Ice-T is like, he's like, I want to kill you so bad my dick's hard. He like literally says that to him, and it's like, whoa, like holy shit, man, you're feeling something, dude.
See that on SVU, but
yeah, I know you. I'd love to see that. Oh man, he rules, dude. Ice-T's so sick. Do you ever listen to Body Count?
Dude, it's the shit.
Yeah.
Have you heard their
They did like a Slayer cover not too long ago that they put out, right?
They just put out a new record. Yeah, they've been like, that's like Ice-T's main shit now is Body Count. Awesome. And Will Putney does their records.
What?
Yeah, they do. At least the last couple of them have been done at like Graphic Nature Studios and shit. It's so funny to me. Like, wow, the same guy who's doing like the Acacia Strain is doing Ice-T's metal band. The dude that was in New Jack City and the Acacia Strain have a connection together now. It's just so weird. It's fucking crazy to me.
He wrote Cop Killer. Now he plays a cop on TV like every day.
The ultimate irony.
Yeah. Cop Killer. That was a big ass fucking song.
Huge. That was one of the songs that started the whole parental advisory.
Oh, it was Cop Killer?
That was like one of them.
Wasn't that like Al Gore's wife who was like
spearheading that? Tipper.
Yeah, didn't they talk about that in like Bowling for Columbine or something?
It's talked about in that. Yeah. There's other documentaries that bring it up, and it's interesting. You know, it's like I'm trying to remember the other songs that were like referenced as to like we need to warn the children about bad music. Like, oh God.
Do you know what's funny? When I was doing all the Distro Kid shit for the Roman Ring album. Like,
do you have to like say
you have an
adult
option
content?
No, you don't have. You have the option to do it. They give it. It's like in your control if you want to list your songs as explicit. And I had to like go back and listen. Like, there's no swears on our record or anything. So I had to go back and like look at it. And I was like, do I do that at all, or should I not? Like, I didn't know what to do. But I was like, I guess I won't. So
yeah, it's weird. That label used to mean something, and now it's like, you know. So you can totally ignore it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I remember like somewhere they talk about it where it essentially backfired, because then kids were like, "Oh, I want to listen to the records that say like I shouldn't listen to them," and so they totally shot themselves in the foot with that.
Yeah, I remember. My parents used to just buy me the CDs. They didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, mine too.
My dad got me an Eminem CD once. And like behind my mom's back, and then my mom found out I had it and she took it away.
Damn.
And then I found it like a year ago.
Yeah, you still repping it?
Walmart.
Huh?
Walmart. Sorry, the timings, the delay between us is kind of like throwing me off. I was gonna say Walmart used to sell like clean versions of like explicit records.
I think Target did that too. Didn't
a lot of stores did. Yeah, Best Buy did it too.
Oh, I didn't know Best Buy did it.
Yeah, That's funny. My friend, you remember my friend Eric, right?
Yeah.
When I remember it was either his 7th grade or 8th grade birthday, and our friend got him the clean version of like whatever Korn record came out.
Dude, that sucks.
At that time. It was the one with Twisted Transistor. Do you remember that song?
Twisted Transistor?
That was the single on the record. Yeah, Twisted Transistor.
Wait, what's the 311 song?
It sounded like Ethel Merman when I was saying it like that. No, it's called Twisted Trans. Bill. Oh.
But doesn't 311 have a song called Transistor?
How would I know?
Why don't you know?
Because why would I fucking know?
You're missing out.
I'm looking up what the album's called.
I had the Blink-182 Take Off Your Pants and Jacket clean version, and they had to like take off entire songs.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. There's a bunch of songs on that record where they talk. Yeah, that song Happy
like
Holidays.
A track or two missing.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that song Happy Holidays where he's like, it's Christmas Eve and I only wrap 2 fucking presents, and that's like, it's like a minute-long song, and then he's like, it's Labor Day and my grandpa ate 7 hot dogs and shit in his pants. You've never heard that song? It's a sick song. I love that. That Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was like my favorite Blink-182 record. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was my favorite, but it's fun talking to Nate about those albums because like he knows a lot about them. Because he used to be really into that band, but like he knows a lot about what went behind those records and shit. And it's like, whoa, when I was listening to those albums, I was like 12, dude. So, and I definitely didn't have the edited versions, that's for sure.
Yeah, that guy Jerry Finn that produced all the Blink-182 records, he did like a ton of different like pop punk bands, like Newfound Glory, I think he did some stuff for, and he did like that AFI record, Sing the Sorrow. But like,
I'm trying to think which one that was.
That was the one that had like Girls Not Grey. It was like their big mainstream breakout record.
Yes, okay.
And yeah, Jerry Finn did like a ton of records that I listened to when I was a teenager, and it wasn't until like way later that I realized that he had like had his fingerprints all over these albums, and the guy's like influence has really shaped like the way that I think of like mixing and the way I hear records and stuff. But it wasn't until like a decade later that I realized that when I went back, I was looking through these credits of all these albums, and I kept seeing his name over and over again.
Damn,
and I was like,
insane.
Man, it's weird being influenced like a decade later, realizing that you've been influenced so largely by somebody like that.
That is crazy, man. Yeah, that is interesting to hear, like, especially from like a production angle, you know what I mean? And listening to mixes and whatnot. I think that, yeah, it's wild. That is insane. Dude, have you heard that new Blink-182 album? The one that came out last year? It is fucking bad, dude. I can't even believe it's a record. It's so bad.
Why,
it's like
so
pathetic, dude. It's just I don't even listen to it. Just listen to it.
I'm good.
Okay. Then you'll never know, because I don't even know how to fucking explain how bad it is. I don't. Like, listen to it.
How does Nate feel about it?
I think he realizes it's horrible too.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's just like they're a shell of a band that they were, and now they have the dude from Alkaline Trio, and it's like, why? Why are you even doing this? You know what's interesting? Nate told me that like because of whatever licensing and Tom's ownership of like the name Blink-182, he still gets a cut of everything they do,
even after.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he still gets cuts from everything, so he's getting money from their new shitty record. It's insane.
Damn.
And that's how he's funding the alien search. That's where all that money's coming from.
That's where he's funding. Oh my God. Yeah. Dude. That's wild. I can't believe
that episode of Joe Rogan with him might be like the top 10 Rogan episodes ever.
You think so?
I think so. I mean, because it's just like, one, how often do you get like as big of a star as Tom DeLonge was on Joe Rogan? And two, he's not talking about like his experience in Blink-182 almost at all. It's just like a completely insane alien conversation the whole time.
Yeah, I will say I hate Joe Rogan, and I've expressed that many times on this podcast, but I do find usually his episodes with musicians are the most interesting. Like I either love them or I hate them, but like I hated the James Hetfield episode, like with Joe Rogan, because like
talk about bees.
You could tell, because Joe's like I feel like Joe, with a lot of musicians, pushes them to go in different directions instead of talking about things you would expect. And not that that's a bad thing, but like sometimes he really forces it. Like on that, have you seen that one with James Hetfield?
Yeah, I listened to it.
There's like 5 times where James is just like, yeah, I'm sure your listeners don't want to hear about these bees anymore. We could talk about, and Joe's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, Joe, he's right. Let him talk about something else, dude. Like, I don't want to hear about this. But on the other hand, like that episode with Tom was really interesting. The Billy Corgan episode I thought was really good, where he talks about, yeah, he talks about all that wrestling history and how he was involved in that. It's like, whoa, I had no idea.
You didn't know about the wrestling?
No, I had no clue.
Did you ever see the Walter E. Smith and Billy Corgan wrestling crossover commercial?
No. Walter E. Smith? You dream it, we build it.
It is amazing.
Hell yeah.
It is batshit crazy.
Fuck.
I think I sent that video to somebody after that podcast came out because I was like, yeah, there's this insane commercial out there.
That's insane.
And they just didn't believe me.
I've never seen it.
So crazy.
I would love to see that.
I will link it to you.
Please do.
It's amazing.
Steven Tyler episode of Joe Rogan is really good.
Yeah,
Check that one out.
Yeah, I have seen that one. That one's wild. I like, honestly, one of my favorites is the Ted Nugent episode. That's like...
It's like all the most batshit crazy front.
Yeah, the Ted Nugent episode is so fucking wild to me. That's probably my favorite one. Just because you also learn about that dude's perspective, and he's actually smarter in certain ways than you think, but then he's also dumber in other ways where you're like, wow, I didn't know you were like that ignorant. But it's definitely wild shit. The David Lee Roth one's good too. Talks about being an EMT or whatever. I would not trust that dude laying a finger on me, dude. With all that cocaine residue on his whole body. He's probably still sweating that shit out.
Dude, I've seen rumors of him being gay. I think we actually talked about this like the first time I was on this podcast. Like,
David Lee Roth being
were
gay?
like, what's that?
David Lee Roth being gay?
Yeah, because he's never, like, as far as I know, he's never been like in a serious relationship, like with a woman, like publicized.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're right, though. And like back then, that was, especially if you were a band like Van Halen, like,
you do not want to have that image.
No, and I mean, most of those dudes had like their girlfriends on blast with them.
Right.
You know, like Tommy Lee and shit, and like, I don't know. Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if he is gay. Good for him if he is. I guess I wouldn't be like completely shocked, given that like that guy is a very wild card type of dude. So I'd be like, oh, you know, nice surprise. But
pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely not want that dude. I don't know. I'm sure he's a fine EMT. If he wasn't, they wouldn't let him do it.
Well, I guess. I don't know. They let fucking Steven Seagal be a goddamn sheriff, so what are we doing here?
Yeah, that guy had to probably pay money to do that.
Dude, that's so...
Does he carry a gun when he does that?
I feel like legally he can't.
I hope so.
I hope not.
I wouldn't trust Steven Seagal with a firearm.
I would love to hang out with that dude for a whole day. I would just do like
the other guys, just give him the wooden gun. Like, here, take the practice gun. That's all you get.
Dude, if I could, like, one of my 3 wishes, like, if I had
Steven Seagal.
Any amount of money in the world, I would just like to do a ride along with him as a sheriff.
It would be
just see what his day is like. I'd be like, dude, you fucking rule. He looks like
I want to watch that reality show.
He has one?
Yeah. They follow him
he's
as
a cop,
sheriff.
yeah.
Wow. What is that on?
A&E, I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like an A&E
like
show.
One of those garbage channels.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say. Definitely, I wouldn't be shocked if it was on A&E. I was watching on Hulu. It came up, but they have Strange Addictions on Hulu. Oh. Have you seen that?
I've seen clips of those. I can't really get into those.
I watched an episode. I just watched one because I was like high, but it was this couple that was addicted to giving themselves coffee enemas.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Very weird.
Very specific.
Did you see the one of the guy who's in love with his car?
Yeah, where he like fucks his car seats and shit. Yeah, I've seen that. That guy's awesome.
What?
Yeah, he fucks like this car seat. They don't show it, but he talks about
how he fucks it.
Yeah, how he makes love to like
I can't remember. I don't know if it was like My Strange Addiction, but there was this one show a friend showed me. It's a dude in Chicago that is utterly terrified of El Caminos.
Really?
Yeah. And while they're like filming, he's outside. He's like in Logan Square, and like a fucking El Camino drives by, which they had to have planted that.
Yeah, of course they did.
And he just like freaks the fuck out. He goes, "There it is, man. What did I tell you? There it is." Like just going nuts about it.
What's scary about it? It's a car.
There was like a whole weird backstory about him and his brother, and something happened to them like in an El Camino basically, and then it all stems from that. Like it's all the same shit, like child trauma, you know.
There's a Maury, I think it's Maury. There's a Maury episode of a woman that's afraid of pickles, and they literally back up like a garbage truck full of pickles like onto the stage. And it's just like, what an asshole move.
What a dick move,
it's just like, what? Like,
here's the thing you're terrified of.
Yeah, and then she's like screaming for her life. And part of me is just like,
traumatize this woman.
Yeah, part of me has to think that, right? Like, great, for shitty public TV value. Like, wow.
Need those views.
This is really how you do it? Like, but at the same time, it's just like, man, maybe they just paid somebody to pretend to be afraid of pickles.
Yeah, it's possible too.
Yeah, it's totally possible. That's weird, man. I don't know what I would be afraid of. Like, maybe if it was like a dumpster truck full of like big ass wolf spiders.
Yeah, but even those are harmless.
Yeah.
They just look terrifying.
Yeah, but I would run away from that.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't like bugs either, man. I'd be like, I'm out.
Are you really afraid of bugs?
Yeah, I've gotten better with it, but I used to like just freak out. Any bug didn't matter.
Yeah,
just freak me out. And I'd just
How about you? Are you a bug guy?
I kill them all day. It doesn't scare me.
You live in a garden apartment too, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as bugs go, like we're actually pretty lucky. We don't get a ton of them, but like at this point, I just like grab a Kleenex and just like smash them. Yeah. And, like I've gotten close to just like destroying them with my bare hand. I just like don't give a shit, you know.
You should punch a centipede, dude. Next time you see
one. You really want to feel power, you punch a centipede.
Yeah, dude. I think that would be fun.
I always try to like capture him, get him out of the house.
Oh, fuck that. Stop that motherfucker. See, my thing is I just can't. I don't want to feel like the squish in my hand.
Yeah,
like,
no.
If it's a small bug and I take like a big ass thing of toilet paper and I'm just like, with my fist so I don't really feel it, and then I just scrape it off really fast and throw it in the toilet and flush it, I'm fine. But like killing a big critter with like whatever you have to use is always kind of like, yeah. Thank God.
I feel like sometimes if you have like too much like paper towel in your hand, you can't like feel like you grabbing him, so you lose the bug. And I don't risk that. Yeah. I always just grab enough paper.
Yeah, that is definitely a good point, because sometimes I have felt that, but I make sure that my radius is big enough to where I'm like, this guy ain't going nowhere, you know? Thankfully, I haven't seen many. Where I live now, I rarely ever see any house centipedes or anything like that. Sometimes I'll see small spiders or some shit like that, but I could kill that. That I have no problem with.
I had like maybe like a year ago, there was like a moth at my place.
Oh no.
And that was like annoying because like it was like right when I was gonna go to bed too. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want this thing
laying eggs in your ears while you go to bed.
Like I literally like grabbed my cat. I'm like, dude, you gotta catch this fucking thing, and she's batting at it. And it just,
good teamwork.
Yeah, we tried.
Did you get it?
No, I had to like get a fucking chair out and like smash it with something.
Yeah. That's cool that you use your cat as like a tool.
She got the reach and she wanted it, so I was like, go for it.
Was she gonna eat it?
I don't care what she did with that thing as long as she killed it.
You think it'd be safe to eat a moth?
Yeah.
You think a human could eat a moth and live?
Yeah. It's good protein.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
What about the wings?
You're fine.
Dude, you know what's? I hate like furry bugs.
Oof.
Like a bug that has hair on it. It's like, dude, this is not right. You're supposed to be like.
Why do you have a 5 o'clock shadow?
Yeah, dude. Like a big, like you ever see pictures of moths that are like bigger than your hand?
Those are fucked.
It's just like, dude, those are torch that shit, man. Like,
burn it down, start again.
Yeah, it's like, how do you believe that like a god exists and that's a real thing? Then you know what I mean?
Like,
it's like,
like
there's no way.
I've been to museums where you get to see like when they have them like pinned up, you know, and it's like, why is that real? Like,
yeah, I hate that shit. And one time I went to a butterfly like sanctuary when I was a kid.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I can't either now. Like back then, I was like,
I still
there's
can't.
no
like,
fucking way.
I'm like, get the fuck off of me.
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
so pretty. It's like, I don't care. Shoot it.
Show me a video. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a kid. When I was growing up, I would stay at my grandma's house for some, like, basically like through the summer sometimes. And it'd be like me, my brother, my sister, and like, you know, like my cousins would stay with us too. And one summer we were like out on the front porch and we all had like a can of soda. And I remember really vividly like reaching for the soda and going to drink it. And as I was drinking it, I felt like a fuzziness on my lip. No! And I pulled the can back. And there was one of those fuzzy ass fat bees was like on the soda can. Like,
no!
Yeah.
Were you okay?
Yeah, I was fine, but like, you know, you don't forget something like that.
Yeah. No, that's traumatizing, dude. I would never be able to have a mustache after I had an experience like that. Because I'd be like, no.
I had a friend that had a similar thing, but he actually drank, like, the bug was in his mouth for like a second. He's like, what? And like, I was like, how could you ever fucking drink?
Was it a bee?
It was a bee.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it didn't sting him or anything, but it was in his mouth for like a second. He's like,
dude, there's a video out there. It's like National Geographic or something, but it's about like this specific type of like wasp or bee that like
the one that just like melts your blood. Is it like that one or something?
It's a video of like a bee and a caterpillar, and the bee essentially like injects the caterpillar with like.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah, it's larvae and like neurotoxins. So essentially, what it poisons the caterpillar and it kills it.
Oh,
then it lays eggs in the caterpillar, and then the venom reanimates the caterpillar.
It's a zombie.
Yeah. So essentially, it's like it still it lives for like a week or something.
Yeah, because like they're eating the inside of it while it's like still.
Yeah, exactly. So that the caterpillar is functioning to be a host for like the babies, and then the babies all like kill the caterpillar again and explode out of it.
And then eat whatever's left.
Like, how do you believe? Like, how do you go to church and still be like, "Oh yeah, that's natural"? Like, yeah, that's just part of life.
Somebody was like, "Come on, we need one of these in the world." Like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you like, that's what I always want to be like. Like, explain this shit, dude. Like those Jehovah's Witnesses that like chill at the red line. I want to go up to them being like, "Yo, have you seen this? We're watching this whole video right now. Tell me like
now. Tell me about your God.
Yeah, like tell me what you think about that."
Challenge their entire belief system at that point.
I just want to do, but the thing is like you can't do that and just walk away. You know what I mean? Because they'll be like, and then you got to like have an hour-long conversation with them to where they actually try and be like, no, well, this is how it's like fine. And then we'll be like,
they'll rationalize it.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, I don't know if I'm going to stick around for that. You know?
I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. I would just be like, no, I'm leaving. But I'm
nature is just so so much worse than anything like people can think of. You know?
Exactly. It's fucked up. And I mean, it's like, I get it when people are like, oh, just let, nature is going to be nature and it's going to do its thing. It's like, yeah. But, at the same time, it's like, well, there's a lot of scary shit going on.
About that. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's so weird to me. But as humans have fucked it up enough. And it's just like, when people are like, save the planet, it's like, why? So more fucking caterpillars can get killed by weird bees that like, what if they sting a human? What if that happened to a human being? Like, if that could happen on that, of course it wouldn't with a wasp, but what if there was something out in the world that could do that to a human? You technically could if you're like a rapist or some shit and you rape some woman and then you're like, eat shit so my baby could live and then you kill her. That's horrible. But that's a hypothetical. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's not like nature of things. That's just a fucked up dude, or person, whatever they are. But it's just like, how can you say, and I'm sure shit like that has happened in the world. There's so many people this is like some shit I wouldn't normally talk about when I'm high, but I'm 100% sober right now. Yeah. So it's very like, I'm definitely reaching for the stars here, but I don't know. It's just like, yeah, nature's fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Whatever, man. At least we have people like Theo Von out there doing the Lord's work,
Dude, I love Theo. I've got friends that are like kind of turned off by his whole like shtick.
Same,
but like it's like a shtick on some level, but you can go back to like him on the road he was on Road Rules back in the day, or like Real World or whatever.
Yeah, Road Rules.
One of those shows.
Road Rules, yeah.
And he's like the same as he is now. Like he's like the same dude. Like just this like, sorry, my dog's barking over here, but he's essentially like the same dude he's always been. It's like, it's only a shtick in a very small like degree.
Yeah, exactly. Like his stand-up sometimes is hit or miss for me, but like when he's just having a conversation with somebody and he says like shit to throw them off, it's like the funniest thing in the world to me. Like
did you listen to that episode with that creative guru guy? He was talking about like the creative process and creativity.
I don't think so. No.
It's so great because the guru like listens to everything that Theo says and takes it 100% seriously.
Yeah.
And but it's like just serious enough that he like Theo will respond to him, and then the guru will be like, I never really thought of it that way, but you're totally right. And then he would like explain why Theo is right about this like insight that he has. But it's really brilliant because you can tell that Theo is in character the whole time, but he really knows how to like push this guy's buttons, not in a way that's like offensive or like, not in a way where we're laughing at the guy, but in a way where you can like, they're just the dynamic and their interaction is so interesting to watch. Like super naive Theo coming in and talking to this guy who's like written books about the creative process, and he's like obviously super like intellectual, and they get along just great. It's so interesting.
Is that on this past weekend?
Yeah, it was like maybe like 2 or 3 months back.
Shit, yeah. If you could tell me who the guy was, I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, I can find it.
Yeah, please do. I love it when he has Bobby Lee on, or when he's on Bobby Lee's podcast. Like his episodes on Tiger Belly are so fucking funny, dude.
Yeah,
like those guys together.
They've got great chemistry.
They have great chemistry. I love Theo, man. He's so funny to me. And like everybody just, the people that they're like, oh yeah, he's like a southern hillbilly guy with a mullet. It's like, there's so much more to it than that, dude. Like there's so much more.
Yeah.
It's not like,
it was February 7th, creativity guru, Dr. James Kaufman.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 260.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out then. Cause I've seen the episode with Jordan Peterson, and that one is like, not really funny at all. I mean, it's a little bit, but Theo's like, it's like there's not a lot of room for him to be like doing goofy shit.
Especially with that guy.
Yeah. But I've also seen episodes where it's just like, he's got like rappers on and it's the funniest shit. Like he's had some really good ones. The ones, I always forget the guy's name.
Riff Raff?
That one was great. It wasn't the Riff Raff one, but it was another one where he had like Lil, some dude on, and then there was that other dude on. I'm gonna look it up right now because this guy is he also has a podcast and he's also really funny, and he had a show on MTV or something. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna tell you.
I saw Theo Von live in last time he came to Chicago, and
oh shit, was that cool?
It was cool. It was definitely like a good show, but he was like, I think it was like the first show, because I think he scheduled like 2 shows, or he did like a weekend or something in Chicago. And I think we saw him on the very first show, the first night. And you can kind of tell that he was like sort of like piecing his set together. Because by the end of it, he was like talking to the mic and he's like, yeah, what else? What else do I have? What else? And he kept saying that over and over again. And it just kind of takes you out of the moment, you know, because you're like, oh, he's got to go through his like Rolodex of jokes right now to figure out what to say.
Yeah.
But it was still a really, really good time. It was great.
Where was he at?
He was at the Laugh Factory.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Up in like Lakeview or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been there like 4 or 5 times, man. That place is great.
I've never been there. Damn.
It's worth checking out.
Yeah,
it's
I would check it out. I played my first show at it used to be the Lakeshore Theater, and I played my first show there ever.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. My like band.
Oh.
It was my first band, either in 8th grade or freshman year in high school. I was like 13. I was like 14, I think.
No shit.
Yeah.
I did a Battle of the Bands at that place.
At the Lakeshore Theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was, kind of.
Yeah, and that's where that was the first show my grandmother ever went to.
Oh, nice. Yeah. But yeah, man, Theo Von's so good. The episode I was talking about was that dude Dirt Nasty. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He's like another comedian. I forget his real name, but him and Theo Von like are so fucking funny together because they both just go like over like all these fucking dumb, like stupid ass concepts, and the shit that they say about it is so funny. So he has Dirt Nasty and then the rapper Young Gravy on it, and that dude's also really funny. It's such a good episode. But there's a good one because Theo Von was like Dirt Nasty did a podcast, and like Theo Von was one of his first, like I think his first guest. And on the episode, like Theo's been talking about how he's been taking like hiatuses from like jerking off and porn and shit. And they're talking about VPNs, and then like one of them is like, oh, like Theo's like, oh, what does that mean? Like a very penis network? And it's just like, dude, this guy's so fucking funny, dude. Like that's exactly like some dumb shit I would think of and not say out loud because I thought it would be too stupid to say, but he just like goes for it. And I'm just like, dude, goddamn, he's so good. Yeah, that episode with Riff Raff was great. Like, he's awesome, dude.
I haven't checked out The King and the Sting yet with him and Brendan Schaub.
Yeah.
Kind of like roast each other a lot.
Yeah. It is kind of funny. I've seen like bits and pieces of it. I just kind of hate Brendan Schaub, so it's hard for me to like get into that because he's such a douche bro type dude.
And he's always just kind of repeating whatever Theo says anyway from the clips that I've seen, where Theo will like call him something.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why...
And then he'll call Theo that.
The only thing that's funny is the one thing I find funny about is just Theo Von making fun of him. Like, that's funny to me, to just see him rip on him, and that's really good, but yeah, it's definitely a weird dynamic. Like, it's a good dynamic, those two, at least Theo Von, like, making fun of Brendan Schaub, but yeah, I don't know, that guy is... I do like that episode of Rogan's show where it's Brendan Schaub and Eddie Bravo talking about flat earth shit. Like, that's really entertaining because it's like Joe's trying to be super science guy to prove Eddie Bravo wrong, and then you have Brendan Schaub being like a beefhead guy, just like being like, yeah, you're an idiot, Eddie, yeah, you're stupid. And it's like, dude, you don't know much more than this guy does probably. So But it's entertaining.
Theo called him Brendan. He was like, "You look like a mechanic that works at Nordstrom Rack." He's like, "Damn, I didn't know Nordstrom Rack does tires now."
Yeah, dude, that was so funny. Yeah, I've seen that. Oh man, Theo Von's so fucking clever, dude. But the thing is, I watch his stand up, and most of the time I'm like, his stand-up's okay. Like, I don't think it's the funniest shit. Sometimes it's funny, but sometimes when he's doing the super forced redneck shit, I'm like, I don't buy it as much. But then when he's just being him, like, in conversation and he says something, like, really low-key and small, and I'm like, whoa, that's, like, hilarious that he just said that.
There are a lot of comedians like that where I've seen their stand-up, and I'm like, it's all right, but there's something better about when they're in conversation with, like, one or two other people, and they're bouncing back and forth, and, like, you really get to see the sense of humor because they're kind of have to be on point, you know?
Yeah.
And more often than not, those guys, they're better in those situations. And or if they're just doing something else, you know? It doesn't necessarily have to be stand-up. They're just being funny doing something. Like, I was like, oh, this is way better.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel in some comedians, I feel like their stand-up is almost like just like them having a conversation. Like Hannibal Buress sometimes, I feel like his stand-up is awesome because it's almost like you're just listening to him have a conversation.
Yeah. Like, he's one. Yeah, I'd love to hear that guy talk anytime.
I've started to wonder whether like podcasts are the superior form of comedy, you know, because like, there's like all the big guys like Joe Rogan, like I listen to Joey Diaz, love him, you know, Theo, all those guys. At this point, I'd almost rather just listen to their podcast because they make me laugh more on a podcast than they ever do during their like stand-up specials.
Same. Yeah.
And I love Uncle Joey and he's great live, but like, the moments when he's candid with him and Lee and the guest are like still my favorite moments. They're the most memorable. They're just like I've laughed the hardest in those moments when it's just real, candid, open conversation.
I agree. Yeah, like when it's the Shrooms episode of his show with Theo Von. And Lee, dude, that's like one of the best podcast episodes I've ever seen on any show ever. Like, it's so fucking funny. Like I love it. Like talking about taking Lee's shirt off and using him as a battering ram. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, what? How did you get there? And it's hilarious.
I've re-listened to like every Theo Von appearance on The Church like multiple times because he's a great guest on that show.
Yeah, those guys
probably my favorite guest.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree for sure. Those guys together are just so fucking funny. Like Joey Diaz, and then like he believes everything Theo says when Theo's like clearly making some dumb redneck shit up. Joey's like, "Are you serious?" It's like, no, he's not, dude. But that's sick. You think he is? Like, yeah, it's wild shit.
Or you get the exact opposite, Joe Rogan, who just points out that Theo isn't right. And he's just like, no, that's not how it works. That's not correct. And, and obviously like, dude, Theo's making a joke and Joe just misses it every time.
I love that, though. That's why I like Theo Von on Joe Rogan's show, because Joe's just trying to be smart. And like Theo's just like, why do you have me on this show? Like, it's so funny. Yeah, that's where I first heard of Theo Von, was because he was on Rogan's show. And then I was like, well, what the fuck is up with this dude with a mullet? Like, and I didn't get it at first. And then I was watching, because then that was like my first exposure to him as a dude. And I was like, he's saying all this shit that I think is funny. And I'm like, because at first I'm like, man, is he just like fucking with Joe Rogan? Which to me is like hilarious. So I'm just like, is that what he's doing? I can't really tell. And then when I watched more of him, I'm like, oh, that's exactly what he was doing. Was trying to fuck with him. And then Joe's like, no, that's not true. It's just like, dude, this guy's here to have fun, not talk to you about like a hypothesis of how the world was created. You know what I mean? But
that's why I love the Fight Companion podcasts. Like, none of that, like, yeah, they go on tangents from time to time, but it still has that like original Joe Rogan experience sort of like tone to the conversation. They're just like buddies talking shit, making each other laugh, like having a good time. And I really miss that when he brings on, like, even if it's like a regular comedian, all they talk about is like the business, like being in the comedy business. And like they spend like zero time like actually being funny. Because they're usually there to plug something or promote something, so they don't really like have the looseness of just like a real conversation like those Fight Companions do.
So are they talking about like MMA mostly on that?
They're watching like an MMA match live, but like the conversation goes a ton of different places. Like it's probably like less than half of it is actually deals with MMA.
Okay, yeah, that's why I've never watched those, because like I have no interest in. I mean, I respect it. I just don't know anything about it, and like. Whenever Joe has guys talking about that shit, I usually fast forward until they're done talking about it.
Yeah, me too. I fast forward through the Fight Companions when they're talking about MMA too much until they get to something funny.
Does he always have the same people on for that, or is it always different people?
Generally, it's mostly the same dudes. It's like Brian Callen, Brendan Schaub, Eddie Bravo, and who else am I missing? Usually them.
Okay.
There might be one or two other people that I'm forgetting, but
that makes a lot of sense, man. You know what? I was watching clips of Some Kind of Monster again for the 80th fucking time, and
nice.
Yeah, it's I've been focusing more on like Bob Rock's role in the whole thing as a producer, and like the shit that guy does, man, it's just so like once you really take a deeper look into it, like how he's trying to be like friends with the band, and like there's so many little subtleties because he played bass on the record. There's so many subtleties of like him, like you could tell he's kind of stoked that he almost had the chance to join Metallica, but they were so not about it. Like you could, because they were like, oh, he's just the fucking producer, man. Like James shooting him down at every chance he gets. It's like so fucking like it's shit I never noticed before, and I'm just like, wow, this is like wild. Yeah,
I think like it's funny that you mentioned that because like there usually if it's like a great producer, he almost like not worms his way in, probably like a more positive way to put it, but like he becomes like the fifth member of the band.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like George Martin was like the fifth Beatle or whatever. Like Bob Rock is that guy to Metallica in a pretty big way, I feel like.
Yeah.
And like Jerry Finn, the guy we were talking about earlier, like it was the same thing. Like Blink-182 felt like he was part of the band. He produced all their records. Like when he died unexpectedly, they were like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like that dude taught us how to make a record, and now he's gone, you know?
Was that, did he, I'm trying to think, what was the last, do you know the last record he did with Blink-182? Was it that self-titled one?
I think so. I want to say he was, he might have passed around like he might have passed before that, but I want to say he was involved in that record too. I might be wrong though. For me, Blink-182 like ends at Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Yeah. I never really cared for like anything beyond that. So.
Well, that's because when that self-titled record came out, they stopped doing all like the traditional like pop punk type stuff and started experimenting, I think, with a lot of different types of songs. Because I had that record, that Blink-182 self-titled, and then they stopped being a band for a long time. Like that was their last record until like they did the one reunion one with Tom DeLonge. I think they only did one with him, and then he quit. But he did like Angels and Airwaves between all that shit. Yeah, it's interesting. Just the world of production, like being more exposed and hearing. I always find that very intriguing now, like hearing about producers. Like, did you see that video Bob Rock did recently? It was for like some company like Gibson or something, but he talks about Saint Anger and like about sort of like alludes to like the floppy, you know, how it was a flop and like what was going on with that. It was really interesting to hear about it. And then I kind of went on this like rabbit hole of watching producers just have conversations with people. Like there's this video of Rick Rubin, obviously. He sits down and talks to one of the guys from Brockhampton, this hip hop group that I love, and has this whole conversation. And he didn't do any production work on their newest record, but they recorded a lot of it at his studio at Shangri-La. And it's just interesting hearing like all these guys' different approaches and shit. And like, especially you do like, I don't know much about Rick Rubin other than he's done like Slayer and then like giant hip hop artists and like R&B and shit. It's like, wow.
That guy's got a hell of a resume.
Yeah. It's crazy to think like you could be so specialized in one type of music and then go for something else that's like completely different.
Yeah. He's got a really diverse body of work. Rick Rubin's like really interesting, but it did take a while for him to sort of like come out and start doing like interviews and put his face out there, because like you'd hear about him, you'd read about him a little bit, but there wasn't really that much like personal like, you know, answers from the man himself. So it's cool to see him like starting his own podcast and getting out there. And then Shangri-La, his house, like I've seen pictures of it online.
It's insane.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Wow, that's insane. And yeah, I think like if you go back and look at all his records, I've heard mixed things, because I think the Mars Volta did a record with him, and they kind of trashed him in some interviews. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, maybe I am mistaken actually. Let me look it up. But they kind of trashed him, saying that he just sort of like came and went whenever he felt like it, and all he really cared about was making sure that the vocals were like catchy and memorable.
Oh, wow.
They were basically saying he had a very hands-off approach.
Interesting.
Deloused was co-produced by Rick Rubin and Omar Rodriguez.
Damn, their first record too.
Yeah.
Did he ever do any shit with At the Drive-In or no?
I don't think so. At the Drive-In did do Relationship of Command. Is that what it's called? Relationship of Command, I want to say?
I have no idea. I never really listened to them that much, but...
They did that record with... I'm blanking on the name, but it's like the same dude who did a bunch of like... He did stuff with Korn. He's known for like really raw production styles.
Is it the one dude who did Slipknot and shit? What's that guy's name?
Yeah.
Not Terry Date. I'm blanking on his name too. Ross Robinson.
Yeah, Ross Robinson did that big Relationship of Command At the Drive-In record.
Okay.
I think that was the last thing they did before they did Deloused.
Yeah. I was going to say that just seems like a big move, like to go with a producer like that for your first record too. Like that's a big statement. Maybe he wasn't as huge as he was when that came out, but
no, he was huge. Rick Rubin, definitely. I think
would have been.
If I had to guess, it probably has something to do with the fact that Rick Rubin did Red Hot Chili Peppers record or two.
Yeah.
And then John Frusciante plays on that Mars Volta album. He's on like a bunch of the tracks. So that connection probably like came from John Frusciante, if I had to guess. Or Flea. I think Flea played bass on most of that album.
He did, yeah. He did play bass on a lot of it.
Great record.
It's a fucking awesome record, dude. I love that band. Aren't they coming back too now? Like, or there's rumors of it, or?
I've seen some rumors on social media about it. Yeah, I hope they come back because like when At the Drive-In came back, I was like stoked, but not nearly as. I just wish that it was the Mars Volta instead.
I felt the same way. I've never disliked At the Drive-In, but I never got into them. Like, they almost remind me of the approach to that band with people reminds me of a lot of people's approach with like Circa Survive, where it's like people that are really into them are really into them. And like those records really hold a lot of high regard. And I understand why. I just feel like I never had the connection with them. Like I definitely never had the connection with At the Drive-In that I did with the Mars Volta. And I never, like, while I did listen to Circa Survive's like notable records, like the first couple ones, and I respect them for what they were, it still didn't I just feel like I wasn't on board with them like everybody else was, or, a lot of other people are. But
I feel like the exact same way too, because I know like my drummer, Greg, he's super into Circa Survive, really likes their stuff. And I've heard their music. I saw them live, and for whatever reason, it never really like clicked with me. So, but yeah, again, it was like, I respected what they did. Like I recognized that, like, well done. Like the stuff is well put together. But yeah, it just never hit me for some reason.
Same. Yeah, it's interesting. Dude, I think Rick Rubin, I'm 95% sure he did the Metallica album after Saint Anger. He did Death Magnetic with them.
I think you're right.
Yeah, which is wild. Yeah, man, that guy, he seems like an interesting dude. I don't know much about him, but that video that I saw of him with Brockhampton was done at Shangri-La, like at a studio, and they had B-roll footage of like his house and how insane it is. And like it was published by like GQ's YouTube channel. It's like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like very insane stuff to me, but from a production angle, I don't know. It's always interesting to hear your take on that stuff because you are a producer and like, you know a lot more about that shit than I do, just watching it on the outside being like, oh, this is cool.
Rick Rubin is like, again, like he's always been sort of intriguing because there wasn't really that much information about the man himself out there. Yeah. But like, if you look at his body of work, like I think if I remember correctly, he started putting out records like in his dorm room or something like that. Yeah. I watched a YouTube video where he goes back to his original dorm room and like revisits it. And he had a lot of like hands-on experience producing a lot of those like Def Jam like label records. Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did like an LL Cool J record and like
wow.
He had a ton of stuff in hip hop, and I think he was actually the reason that Kerry King did the guitar solo on that Beastie Boys song, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party, or No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I think it's No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Yeah. Maybe I'm getting it confused, but because he produced Slayer and Beastie Boys, and so I think that's how that connection came about. But dude, like, just the names of the artists that he's worked with, just like it's like a who's who of like the biggest acts ever. Like even Johnny Cash, he like resurrected Johnny Cash's career. He produced that song when he did that covers record.
Oh, he did that. He did Hurt by Johnny Cash. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I remember that he did that. Yeah, he produced that covers record, and it was his idea that Johnny Cash should go and record a bunch of cover songs and put it out. So,
dude, I remember what an impact that when Hurt, Johnny Cash's version of that came out, and like even like my parents were talking about it and shit, and like it was wild how big that was. So I want to ask you this then, like you look at a dude like Rick Rubin who does like a Def Jam, like old school hip hop artist, like, and then does like Rain and Blood. Do you think that like at that point in his career, he had the choice to just do whatever the fuck he wanted? Or is it more of just like do you think like, I guess as for producers and as a whole, like, do you think it's more of like they try to do different things because it intrigues them, because they're interested in it? Or maybe like somebody like Rick Rubin or anybody who produces such different styles of music, like, is it almost like a challenge for them to be like, I want to see if I could do this? Or maybe a mix of both, or maybe it's just like they were hired by, he got like a fat ass paycheck from a record label to do it, or maybe all of it infused into one.
Yeah, I think it just depends on who the producer is, because there's definitely the guys that will follow the paycheck and they'll go wherever the money leads. But Rick Rubin, I honestly don't know a ton about the guy, but all the stuff that I've read about him and everything that I've gotten to see about him tells me that he's more so interested in like a challenge, or working with someone who maybe isn't getting the attention that they should be getting. Or he's also really good at like being ahead of the curve and like kind of tapping into some stuff that hasn't exploded yet. Or at least he was back in the day. Nowadays, like, I think he's too big of an producer to really kind of be able to do that again. But like nowadays, he's better at resurrecting artists that have kind of lost their way. And but I think like what's really interesting is the guys that really just do whatever they want genre wise, because you also have the guys on the opposite end of the spectrum that are only known for one genre. Like your death metal. Or you have like guys like Michael Wagner did all those huge 80s records, and I think that like for that you end up becoming known for something and then people come to you for that. Oh yeah. But with Rick Rubin, he was always just jumping from like one thing to another, where he was probably so diverse right from the jump that people, like, he wasn't able to be pigeonholed the same way a lot of producers can be. Yeah. And I think that worked in his favor. And like, ideally, that's something that like, as I continue to do work, that would be something that I'd be able to do as well. Awesome. But I mean, right now, I'm still definitely, most of my work is like metal or like heavier genre stuff. But yeah, I'd love to do more stuff that's like outside of that realm.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's really crazy to think about that, because most of my knowledge on producers is like all death metal guys. So like, and of course I know them because they're death metal guys. You know what I mean? Like, I know what an Eric, I could like pick up, like if I hear a metal record, I could be like, oh yeah, that's Eric Rutan's drums, you know, or like a Joey Sturgis fucking produced record, whatever it happens to be, you know? And it's like, yeah, death metal guys go to Eric Rutan. Duh. Like, it's like a formula, you know? And like, or it's just so funny to hear, because it's like, in the metal world, when my head is thinking about producers, I'm always just like, oh yeah, that guy would be sick because he makes sick metal records, you know, like Jens Bogren, or, you know, some of the guys at Fascination Street in Sweden, or like, you know, I could name that shit. But when it comes to like other big ass producers, like, I don't know, is fucking Rick Rubin going to tap in a Periphery? Is DJ Khaled going to tap in a Periphery? You know, and those guys
Another thing too is just with metal specifically, like I think a lot of it is so already like written and recorded and already like decided before the studios ever like becomes involved, especially like modern metal. A lot of these guys recording in their bedrooms and, you know, like having records ready to go by the time that they're like entering the studio. But like a lot of these guys and like more old school producers that actually like produce the songs, they're like rewriting songs and forcing the band to write songs, you know, like, okay, deliver 10 songs and then we're going to pick the best 5 and then you're going to have to write me 10 more songs. We'll pick the best 5 out of that batch and then you'll have a record.
Which is Michael wild.
Yeah. And I think that really has like kind of fallen to the wayside, and bands are just kind of like writing 10 songs and putting it out there and not really considering like what could be if they wrote like another 3 or 4 songs, you know, to kind of like get weaker songs out of the lineup. And like Michael Beinhorn has a book called I think it's called Unlocking Creativity, and he talks about his like whole production process. And he did like Super Unknown, the Soundgarden record, and he did like a bunch of stuff with Herbie Hancock, and he did like the whole Celebrity Skin record. And so his career is really diverse, Yeah. And his thing is like, he's really into gear, of course, and like the sound of things, but like he looks at a band as like he like breaks it down from like the entire hierarchy of the band. And he's like, usually bands will have one or two people that are the actual creative process of the band. So like you'll have the main songwriter, or you'll have the main two songwriters that write songs together, and then everyone else fills a different function of the band. Mm-hmm. And he has different approaches of like coaching people depending on what it is,
what their role
what their function is, within the band. And a big thing that he talks about is like pre-production. He meets with the band and he talks to them and has them record their songs over and over and like whittle things down. And if he feels like they don't have a full record and not all of those songs are good enough to make the cut, he'll just make them write more songs until they have what he deems a good enough product to go into the studio. And then they go and they re-record all that stuff again.
Yeah.
At the studio. And by then you're already super well rehearsed. You already know the songs in and out, and you can just kind of like, you're free to be creative now because you're not worried about nailing the part. You know you can nail the part. You've already nailed the part,
That's awesome. And
he really kind of like drills these musicians and like gets these great results on his records because he like really forces them to put in the work before they ever go into the studio. Sure. And I've been trying to adopt some of that approach and really kind of like coach bands on a deeper level before we like decide to like record anything. Like, let's hear your songs. What do you like about your songs? What are what do you think you can improve? And kind of like actually discuss what it is that they want to accomplish, and not just like, hey, let's go in the studio and make a record and see what happens. It's more like, again, with an actual focus and a dedication and like a vision of what the art is supposed to be, rather than like letting the art itself dictate what it ends up being, Yeah,
I hear you, man. Yeah, that's definitely like a huge lost art, I think, in metal production. And one of the reasons, because I always think about this too, but you bring up a lot of really good points about it. But yeah, it's like metal bands are like, hey, here's a 10-song concept record. This is how it's going to be. And like, it's almost like, all these bands do all this homework, pre-production and like demoing out everything themselves. And, almost like, I almost feel like it's penny pinching in a way, because like a lot of, you look at like a band like Metallica doing some kind of monster, or doing Saint Anger, or like doing the Black Album. And like, they have this huge studio with all these tools and and like a producer and all of these options like at their disposal. You know what I mean? And it's like, definitely some of it comes from the money a band like that has, where it's just like they just own their own fucking studios. But even before then, it's like, this money, we're getting an influx of basically whatever we need to make the best product possible. And it's just like a lot of metal bands now, it's like, oh, what can we fucking set aside from our day-to-day lives to like make a recording? And I feel like, at least in my experiences, every band I've been in, it's almost been like, hey, we want to do everything we can before we go in, just because like the studio time is precious to not fuck up. And like,
time is money.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. So it's interesting to hear like that approach where it's like, this dude is like, before we even go into the studio, I'm going to make you grind all this shit. And then like,
that's how it used to be.
You hear of bands that are like, we went to the studio with 30 songs and here's 10. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I would love to hear what some of those other songs were, and like, how that whole process goes. It's wild to me. So I think it's cool.
And on the flip side, if you think about it, back in the day when bands had insane budgets, they'd go into the studio and they'd write the record in the studio, and doing the opposite approach. And that is kind of like not a thing anymore, like the budget right up. There's just no one's getting payrolled to sit in the studio and like come up with songs. Like, that's a thing of the past.
And it's a huge thing of the past, man. Like, I don't even know of any examples like that, other than like Metallica maybe, or some other bands like
anybody that has the money to do that, which is a very small number now.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's, different styles of music, like, hip hop, I know a lot of it is written in the studios and shit, because it's just like, you make a beat in a studio and then you could like literally change a lot of shit out, especially like modern hip hop stuff. You could change it on the fly. And it's just like, when you have almost like, I feel like some dudes that have home studios and shit, it's like, you could just do a whole record like that and then bring it into a bigger studio and make minor tweaks or something like that.
Right.
I have no clue how it goes, but it's always, that shit is always super interesting to me, especially behind the music that you end up really liking, It's cool to find out how it's made and what's behind it. And, I love hearing shit. When I'm obsessed with a record, I'm like an interesting one recently was the newest, one of the newer Acacia Strain releases that came out it came out on Christmas Day, or the day after Christmas in December. And it was kind of like a side record that they did with not their main label, but it was like this experimental doom record that they decided to do. And
I think I listened to that.
Yeah, and it was cool because they did almost the whole record on tour and in between tours. Like, essentially, like, a lot of it was they would get Airbnbs on their days off and they would set up like a mobile production rig, because I think their guitar player and their bass player are both audio engineers where they live, and they do records for bands. So it's insane, because they were like, yep, we did this record. Like, some of the days they were like, yeah, we tracked these DI guitars in our van, on drives. It's like insane to me.
That's crazy.
It's so wild to me to hear like, all these different types of ways to make records. And that record is so fucking sick. It's just like, holy shit, you did all that,
Right.
And it's wild. And like,
technology's come a far way.
In a sense, I guess I find it really intriguing about how, like, even the songwriting and the artistic aspect goes into that, whether you hear an example of like a guy who's like, I'm going to make you write the best songs you possibly can. And then you look at like, oh, here's this band writing whatever the fuck they want and recording it on their days off in between tours. How much of a headache. I can't even imagine doing that. That would be insane. Like, touring is so hard as it is.
Right.
When you get downtime to just be like, oh, let's track guitars. It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's like having a job and never fucking not working,
I mean, it's cool. I think it's cool, but gotta be hard.
I don't know. That seems like that's a product of the fact that bands have to be touring constantly in order to make money.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not touring, you're not making money. And if you're not touring, you're probably working on new music, but you're not getting paid to do that until it's done.
Yeah.
So it's like, you kind of have to do those things, unfortunately.
Yeah. What's the Roman Ring writing process been like?
What's the best word to describe it? Nightmare?
It's been like recently, or like for the Halogen, or just all across the board?
Like recently, because I know you guys have been working on some newer stuff.
I mean, it's been back and forth.
Yeah, we move slow. Like, obviously, because like there's a long time between albums.
Yeah. I've been trying to hit like the reset button a lot on it, because now that the Halogen's out and we have like a fire lit under our ass, I feel like it's been a little better, at least like coming up with certain ideas. Like, we have some stuff in the books, and like we've had songs that we've worked on the past couple of years since the Halogen has been done that like I've liked and I've hated and then I've liked again, and it's been back and forth. But now I've been like trying to get, like, just this last week, me and Bill jammed together on Wednesday, just me and him, and came up with some ideas on the fly where I'm like, whoa, this is sick.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just the two of us in the room, just kind of just going free for all, and just him playing some beats and I'm playing something over it until his eyes light up, and then he's like,
I'm just like,
whoa, he likes that. All right, we'll keep working on that.
It's cool to do shit
that's
like
been
that.
fun. Yeah.
I did the same thing with Danny on Friday too. Like, we came up with some stuff. Like, I showed him the shit me and Bill were working on, and I was like, isn't shit like this sick? And he's like, whoa, yeah, that is sick. And Danny plays a little bit of guitar, so it's kind of cool to come up with stuff like that. But I mean, it's I'm trying to like, it's weird. It's been cool. It's been weird in a good way though. Like, I think we're getting in, like, having more of a motivation to do it definitely makes it easier for me to write and come up with ideas. And it's like a kind of like with Roman Ring, I really related to a lot of stuff in that David Lynch book. There's an analogy where he talks about, like just thinking of ideas in this big sea of consciousness, and like each idea is like a fish. and you use one idea as bait, and then all of these other fucking ideas come along with that. Like, there's definitely stuff with Roman Ring where like I hear one riff and I'm like, holy shit, I have 7 ideas for where this could go, as opposed to and that's how kind of like how some songs on the Halogen came together, where it was like we were all in a room, Nate would play something or Bill would play something, and I'm like, oh, that's sick, and then we would just connect it with all these other ideas, and I'd be writing my dumb like translations on like a whiteboard and be like, all right, we could get this to make sense. Like that's how we did God Narcotic and Flesh Dispel, and and it was just like, oh shit, it's a cool way to write music. But it's hard, man, because we'll drink and we do drugs, and like it's hard to sometimes get on like a level where it's like, man, focus, where it's like I'm trying to get Nate to learn something, but he's a little too many White Claws deep to kind of retain it.
It's like the phrase, "Got to write drunk, edit sober." Like that's the idea.
Yeah. But it's been good. What I'm trying to do, what I want us to do now, especially with the time in quarantine, is to just kind of like use this time to harvest ideas. So then when we all can come back together, like I have a shitload of videos of stuff, and it's kind of like, then Danny's like a guitar player. He's not a guitar player. He's like a dude that likes playing guitar, but he comes up with certain ideas where I'm like, if I show him to Bill or if Nate hears them, actual guitar players hear him, it's just kind of like, they could come up with so many insane ideas on top of that. And like, I love that type of shit.
Yeah, he's a pretty inspiring writer, which is nice to have, just to have that extra person in there to be able to convey that too is great. Like, like I know we have a hard time with you because it's like, you can't pick up a guitar.
Yeah, I can't pick up a guitar and be like, play this riff. But I feel like me and Danny can communicate to them in a way sometimes where it's like more of a structural aspect of songwriting, like, oh, it'd be cool to do something like this outside of that part and then turn that into this. It's kind of like, it's weird. It's hard to explain. I feel like I'm like an ADD songwriter or an ADHD songwriter, because like every time I come up with something, it's like, how did I get there? And I'm like, well, I don't play guitar, so maybe that's why. But I
think I know exactly what you're saying, because my drummer Greg is kind of the same way, where he's really good at like arranging parts where I'll come up with a bunch of riffs and ideas and I'd be like, yeah, I think this is more of like a verse, this is a chorus, this is a bridge sort of thing. And then he'll be like, okay, well, what if you like take this riff and then take the first half of it, and then I'll play this drum part behind it, and then we loop that. And he knows how to just like break things down and like put them together in interesting ways that I wouldn't have considered. And then we have like new material to work with just based on that, Like it's like a part that was supposed to be a verse, and now it's like he adapted it into something that is more of a bridge, and now we have like a bridge to the song, whereas previously we didn't,
Yeah.
And he kind of talks about it in the same way too, where he has like words for the riffs or like phrases for the riffs. Like that dun 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 riff, or this up,
exactly. I feel like drummers are good with the arrangements like that. Like, at least that's I feel like my strongest suit as far as songwriting ever goes. But it's cool because sometimes like we'll just be fucking off, and like somebody like Bill or Nate will play something that they think is total bullshit, and I'm like, whoa, what did you just fucking, like, can you play that again? That was sick, as opposed, it's definitely interesting. I think, and I mean, same goes for like Adrian when, he used to write, when he was writing the older Warforged stuff, and it's just like, he's doing guitar parts that a guitar player would never play because he doesn't play guitar, Or like, I'll think something's cool, but as a guitar player plays it, they might be like, this is fucking stupid. But it's just, and I have to like there's definitely parts on the Halogen I had to sell on Nate too. Like, especially like stuff with Umbra Mortis, where I was just like, dude, this is sick. And like, it's, he might not think it's sick as a guitar player, but like, you have to, I think there's a benefit of having the outside ear too, of being like, it doesn't have to be the most insane shit all the time to be a cool song.
Some people forget sometimes it's the bigger picture.
Exactly.
And like, I was just talking to Gabe about this too. I was talking about a few people where there's stuff on the Halogen that we do, or at least I do, that I didn't like it wasn't like totally sold on, but I did it because it was like, all you guys were like, this sounds awesome. And I trusted you. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. It's not a problem. Yeah. And I thought it was, because I know Nate took not offense, but he was just like, I can't believe you don't like some of your stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, there's stuff I do really like, but at the end of the day, this went on the record and everybody else was like stoked on it. And I believe in everybody else way more than I believe in myself when it comes to metal.
Sure.
It's just like, it's not as much as I play in a metal band. It's not my world, but like, you know,
yeah.
But I trust you guys and like the ideas that go behind it. So yeah, I think it works out too, having me being like, not really a metal guy, but I have these ideas that, you know, like,
oh yeah, it's awesome.
And then you guys take it and run with it where you're like, well, do some more of that weird shit that you do. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah. As far as Roman Ring, that's like the strongest part of our songwriting, I think, is just because everybody is so different. And like, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of shit on the Halogen that I gunned for that most of the dudes were not down with. And it was just like, fuck, just see this through. And I guarantee you people are going to see it sick. And then like even the White Noise, the last song, the instrumental song, like I had like 5 people message me being like, whoa, that song was really cool. And I'm like, I know it is fucking cool. And like, you know, I had a fight for a lot of that shit where I was just like, fuck, it's going to be sick. Like, and I think it turned out, I think it's sick. I mean, not to be biased, but like having other people say like, that's a really cool closer to me. I'm just like, fuck yes. Like, because that was a risk for Roman Ring, even though it's a metal song, it's still like different.
A little out of our normal range of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's the cool thing. I don't know. It's cool having Roman Ring. I love writing with that, you know, in that mindset because there's so many possibilities, you know, with shit like that. And but it's definitely a challenge. It's always a challenge, songwriting. Even Warforged, the new stuff that we've been working on is all like different songwriting approaches than we've ever done before as a band. And it's definitely a lot more of almost like a collaborative effort this time. And it's cool. It's different and it's scary because of that, because you're trying new things and, you know, you don't know where to land. But that's what's like, it's interesting I feel like that's what's interesting about being in a band or just being a musician in general is like, even with Roman Ring, like whatever we do next, I don't think it's going to be the same process like the Halogen was like, you know, or what previous records might have been like. I think it's just going to be way different. And it's kind of like, part of me wants to be like, oh, it's just going to happen like that. But, you know, another part of me wants to be like, let it happen the way it happens, you know?
Yeah. Have you guys tried like with the writing process, have you guys tried like recording your stuff in a DAW and like demoing stuff and then going back and rewriting stuff at all?
No, but I think that's on the docket.
Yeah, I mean, we did Umbra Mortis and Vatican City were like that, where like me and Danny, like I wrote Vatican City and Danny wrote Umbra, and basically had the idea there and then brought it to everybody and then tweaked it from there on.
Yeah, I had I remember Umbra Mortis came together because Danny showed me that song and I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then like, I actually heard a bunch of his other demos and I picked out bits and pieces from that and we went to jam the song and I was like, let's add this here and see how it sounds. You know, like that dun 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 dun. That was an idea from a different demo Danny had. It wasn't in the initial song. Yeah. And then like, you know, being able to piece that together was like, oh shit, like this is cool, you know? And it made more sense. But yeah, those are probably the only instances like that though, I could think.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably end up doing it again.
We tried like when Danny was still at his apartment on Western and Augusta, I remember there was a couple times we tried going there to do like riff writing sessions, but it didn't really work as well. Yeah. But I think like Danny has gotten a lot more. I mean, between you and Danny, like I think there's definitely more of a possibility for us to do that a little more now, just as far as like tracking drums or like not tracking drums, but like doing more of like, hey, let's record a demo of this and kind of like, you know, go over and whatnot. I would like to try that at least in the future to see what we could do. But
it's like something that's kind of new to me because I was really hoping that I would, like with this new Silver Lace, like the new band I've been working with, they're like, I was really reluctant to kind of bounce back and forth between like the DAW and like jamming in real life because I was just kind of hoping that we can all just like organically write together. Yeah. And I was really, really reluctant to work in Pro Tools at all, but my drummer was kind of pushing me to do it. And I've found a lot of really good results from being able to work that way.
Yeah.
Because like being able to listen back to the track and like not play at the same time allows you to focus and like really hear how the energy works from like part to part to part. And you can really tell if the song is working way better than if you're trying to perform it over and over again and listen to it at the same time. And like, yeah, you can develop that active listening ear for it and like be able to figure it out. But it's never going to be as good as hearing it back in a demo for the first time and being able to like pick apart the stuff that isn't working. It's so much more obvious on a recording than during a performance.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's a really cool like aspect. I've never even thought of it like that because we've never really, I mean, we did when we pre-pro'd all of the Halogen out. Like we definitely, I think, changed some small things here and there.
Yeah,
like took out some parts
sure,
or like
you kind of get to see it under like a different microscope, and you're like, oh, that doesn't quite sound as cool as I thought it did when you hear it like this.
But I would kind of like to do that before going into like even album pre-pro. You know what I mean? Like I think it would be cool to write it. I mean, you could even like. Yeah, if you're sitting, like you said, being in a room and jamming on a new song, like, and being in the mentality where you're like, all right, we're here to jam and perform and, like, practice together, you know, as opposed to, like, you literally sitting at home and playing the song back with a guitar in your hand, you might be able to come up with something awesome on the fly there because maybe you're not feeling the pressure of, like, not pressure, but, like, you're not in the environment of, like, oh, we're just going to run through these songs, you know? Because that's Roman Ring. A lot of the practices are usually us just jamming our already written songs.
Yeah.
So I would always, I mean, obviously me as a drummer and not a guitar player, I've never really had the chance to like have a guitar in my hand and be like, I'm just going to write a sick ass part. But, I definitely think that would bring something different to the table, at least for a band like us. And I want us to get there, you know, definitely.
I mean, you don't need anything fancy. Like what I've been doing is I have like, 4 mics on the drum kit, so just kick, snare, overheads, you know, stereo overheads. And so I record drums that way. Just feed a click drum to Greg, and then I have an ISO cab with like a 57 in it. So I just like double track some guitars real quick, and then he plays drums to it, then just DI the bass, and we all just record it as fast as we can just to be able to hear it back.
Sure.
And like I hate to say it because I was such a naysayer about it, but it really, really helps, man.
That's awesome.
Like, the mentality is that like when we're having band practice, we're writing together, we're performing together, we're having fun. And then when it comes to like editing and arranging, that's when we'll switch over to the DAW and then like really kind of like focus in on how the track is working and how each part is working together and like more big picture sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been an approach that works because like you don't second guess stuff as much. Like, you know, if something's not working when you hear it back, it's not a question like yes or no. It's more like, well, not working, what do we do to fix it now? So
true. I always second guess shit, so I'd be really interested to try that.
Yeah.
I do a lot, and yeah, I mean, that is a really cool way to go about it. I want us to do that, and even Danny, like his home studio, he's been upgrading a lot of his software and shit, and like he's been learning a lot more, especially when he has downtime, like, and he's been showing me like demos and stuff. I'm like, whoa, this sounds like really good, you know?
This stuff is killer. He's great. Like all the songs that I've heard that he's written, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Danny's a great like songwriter and like I know he said he's not like a guitar player per se, but like
he's got a cool approach.
Yeah, I don't even think of that when I hear his songs. They sound awesome.
Yeah. It is cool. And I mean, you have so much knowledge about that, all of that shit. So it's just like between his like him and you, I'm sure we could figure out something like that. You know,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited to write like more Roman Ring shit. I'm excited and I'm also nervous because I don't know where it's gonna go, and that's like exciting, but it's also kind of like, wow, what if like whatever is in my head right now doesn't translate like the way I think it's going to? But I mean, there's a cool part of that, you know, because it could be something even better than I ever thought it could be. So yeah, that's how, I mean, honestly, dude, the shit with the Halogen has been wild because like people like it and people are spending money on it. Like I get notifications of emails on like, oh, you made another Bandcamp sale. And it's like, wow. Like, and I see people on like death metal, you know, forums talking about it and like pages on Facebook. They're like, yeah, this record's sick. And like, did you know the guy from this band was in this band and this and that? And it's like, wow, dude, I've literally heard these songs so many fucking times over the last 5 years. And it's just like, you really don't know. It's like, wow, is this cool or is this fucking not cool anymore? But it's really reassuring to hear, like, to see people like those songs. I want to be like, oh shit, well, wait till you see what we could do now, maybe, you know? So there's definitely some motivation with that. And like, it's got a fire under my ass to be like, yeah, let's, you know, really start cranking out ideas again. So,
do you think that like the weight or at least like the amount of time that it took to like release the record, do you feel like it was a positive or like a negative? Because part of me initially was like, well, maybe it's a negative just because like you guys have had these songs for so long now. But on the flip side, I feel like music, especially metal music, is in a place where it's almost like anything goes now. Where
exactly.
Like when you guys were making that record, I think that like the landscape might have been a little bit different, where it might have not been as accepted with open arms. Whereas like now, everyone's like, yeah, this record is sick because it takes so many risks and chances, and it has like a ton of different like influences in there. And
yeah,
I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think I do agree with you. I do think,
man, we should have had Paul for the Roman Ring. We haven't done it, but we should have done the Roman Ring episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna need you to mediate it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah, but
put out some fires.
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. I don't like. I think at the time I wasn't so much worried about it being accepted, but I remember there was a lot of times where I felt like it was a hard sell on some of the other guys to be like, you know, it's different from what Roman Ring had done before. But then I would reiterate the point. It's like, well, like we know what Roman Ring is like, but a lot of other people don't, you know, and a lot of other people. I mean, when I joined the band, like Babel was like we put out Babel almost right when I joined the band, and I wasn't even on that record. And like all I heard were comments about the production. It was always about the production. They were like, yeah, the songs are really cool, but I wish it sounded cooler, or like, oh, it sounds like this. There was always some type of comment on that. So right away, I knew like a big change would have to be like, all right, we got to make something that sounds like it could compete with like other modern metal sounding records. And
sure.
Yeah, I guess
even that was like a bit of a
sell.
Yeah,
it was a huge sell. It was a really hard sell.
You know, like half the guys are like, well, that's like we want to do it this way, and it's like, well, I get that, but I think we owe it to ourselves to really step it up and try to compete,
try something different, you know?
Like, yeah, just try something new.
Yeah, I feel like as far as like it's been accepted, yeah, I feel like with the little resurgence tech metal has had in general over the years, definitely helped as opposed to like, well, I think there's a certain number of factors. I think now that the fact that we released it as we did now makes more sense for us as a band, because all of our other projects have been released, and now people are like looking at this as less of like a brand new band coming to the surface to just like, you know, it feels like not as much like we're cutting our teeth as far as like, oh, now this is like a different, man, I'm wording this not the way I want to word it. Not the way I want to word it right now. You, though. Yeah.
Like, I think there's less pressure because of the way that like Immortal Bird, you know, put out a record. Everybody loved it. Warforged record dropped, you know, Something's Waiting. Like all those records came out. Wounds. Everyone had like another band's record come out.
Yeah, and then it's all like almost back to back, and they all did well, which was cool.
Yeah, it helped. You know, and it helped ease the burden. I think, at least on me, to be like, are people going to think it's cool? It's kind of like, well, at least we already have some type of. It's less of like a fight almost. Right. You know, it's less of like it felt like less of a proving ground to be.
We had
like,
a little more credibility. Yeah. Going into it, which was kind of nice, and it kind of happened by accident, really, because. Yeah. I mean, you know, we've been sitting on this album for a while, so. Yeah. And finally, we were just like, let's fucking do it. Everybody else released an album. Why can't we fucking do it? You know?
Yeah, I was feeling pretty defeated about it because I reached out to a couple different labels to be like, hey, would you guys be interested in this? And, you know, we kept either getting no's or shrugged off. And it was just kind of like, well, fuck. Like,
a little disheartening.
Yeah, you know, and then you get at this point where it's like, we're not doing any shows. We're like practicing these same songs over and over again for what reason, I don't know. And like, I was losing a lot of motivation. And then like, you know, I would listen to the record here and there and be like, man, this still sounds awesome. Like, it sounds good. I'm really happy with it. And like, I'm really proud of it. And then, you know, one day I'm just like, fuck it. Let's just, you know, like, I'll fucking find a way to put it out. And then I did. And, you know, I think putting it out myself, or at least doing a lot of the work, you know, like doing a distro kit and working on getting the premiere on Metal Injection and like everything that kind of came along with it, like in my head kind of got to a point where I almost gained more confidence because it was like, oh shit, I'm doing all these moves myself and like I'm in control of this whole situation, as opposed to, you know, having to worry about you know, what a label is going to think of everything, what a label is going to think of the representation of your band. You know, when you're in more control over everything, it just makes it a lot more like, it's risky in one way, but on the other hand of it, it's also like there's more confidence that comes with it because it's like
it's
at least
a little less stressful.
And
you're not letting down as many people.
I mean, not even letting down, but it's just kind of like you're in more control about how at least you guys put your own perception of the band out there. So being, you know, seeing it out there now and seeing people like still dig it. I mean, people were making some comments of like, you know, like, oh, I never had the Gateway CD. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even have the Gateway CD. You know, and people are like, you guys should do a repressing of that.
Yeah,
and like,
I've seen a handful of people mention.
It's super cool.
Because they've been going back to the old stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, and I'm personally like, I've been listening to a lot of more music that's not metal primarily for the last couple of years now. And I feel like seeing how records do as far as like the Warforged record did and now the Roman Ring record, it's kind of like given me this new perspective as far as like, oh shit, like even if I'm not super sold on a lot of metal shit, at least a lot of people, still still find some type of interest in it. And it's cool. Like, you know, seeing people share our record on Instagram stories and like, you know, whatever it happens to be, it's awesome that people are like taking it in for what it is. And then like me and Danny, actually, we just did a podcast interview the other night that's going to be going up in a couple days. And it was super weird because like me and Danny were like trying to find ways to talk about the band. And like, I was like, man, this is like hard to do. Like, but it was cool. And it was fun to do that. And it's cool. And the whole thing has definitely breathed new life into it for me to be like, all right, now I want to like really do some more sick shit again. So
hey, maybe that's the way it was meant to be put out, you know, like gave everyone else's band an opportunity to do something new. Like you guys can come back refreshed, feeling like, you know, a brand new mindset moving forward, get those creative juices flowing again. So, you know, as well as that as well. So
yeah, that's the whole thing too. Cause it was hard when we were trying to work on songs when we had a whole record that wasn't even out yet. And part of me was like, why are we even fucking doing this? Cause like our record's not out. What if people don't even like that? And then like, we're already working on music that I'm not 100% invested into. And now that like, I see other people like our record, it's just like, oh shit. So that means people might pay attention, you know, or will be paying attention when we put out something else, you know, if and when that all goes down. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked on it, and I'm pretty happy with the results. And like, we're still going to do more shit with the Halogen. Like, we only released it digitally, but we're definitely going to do some type of run of physical media and try and do some merch again soon. Like, that's kind of my next step, is getting that released on CD, because a lot of the people that are buying the record digitally are always making comments like, we want it on vinyl, we want it on CD, we want, you know, the metal type shit. So gonna figure that out as well as, but it's cool. It's definitely cool because it's got me more motivated to do that type of stuff again. So I'm pretty pumped on it.
So how do you guys think the next, like, what direction are you guys going to head in as far as like the songwriting goes? Do you feel like it's going to be more technical, less technical, more musical, more death metal, black metal? Like what do you think?
I don't know, man. I mean, I in my head, I want it to be more death metal, but I also want it to be more of like less a bunch of riffs mashed together and more of like songs. Like, that's been my main focus on it. But there's one song idea that like I want us to bring back that we were working on a while ago, and it was very streamlined and like it sounded like a song, like in a point where it was like every part really flowed into each other really well, and it was all kind of centered around one idea. That's something I've really wanted to explore with Roman Ring, but then at the same time I also want to go into more of a direction where it's just like really gross sounding shit.
The last few riffage has gone in that route of like really heavy.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we've done that.
Because when we wrote Charles, I remember being like, wow, this is sick. But like, now I listen back to that song and I'm like, we could do like a lot more than just that, you know, and like come up with something even way more gross. So yeah, it's kind of weird how everything's been coming out. Because sometimes some of it's come out in like a way where it's like, oh, I'm really interested in this. Some of it's been like, oh, this is really heavy, I'm really interested in this. Then some of it's been very like Roman Ring-esque, and I'm like, it's cool, but I want to do something different, you know? So yeah. I would say it's going to, I don't know what it's going to be like, you know? But I want it to be more focused I would say that definitely more focused, but I also want it to be cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what fair. I want it to be like. Yeah, you know, like focused and cool, and just see what comes out of it. I just that's all I want to do. And I mean, even if like one song ends up sounding entirely different than another song, like if it happens to be that way, it happens to be that way. You know, it's just kind of like. But I would like to get to a point where it's like, because Roman Ring could be a band where it's like we write a bunch of different songs and then have some ideas to pick and choose from instead of like going in with just 5 songs and being like, this is it, you know?
Yeah. I think it's especially difficult for metal bands because they'll like come up with so many ideas and it'll be for one song. So you have like 12 riffs in one song. Whereas like you come up with 3 riffs, that's a song in most genres. You know, you come up with, that's all you need. Exactly. But like at this point, you guys have to develop like 1,000 ideas for a full record because it's kind of like what you guys normally do anyway. So sometimes it's just a matter of like pumping out ideas as quickly as you can in order to like actually write songs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you know, it's like that, like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks approach. And it just got to be like really difficult to constantly have to create new ideas, like in that sort of like technical metal, you know.
It is hard. And that the whole thing with that too, especially with the Halogen, was like, I felt like when we were coming up with ideas, I was just finding ways to mash them together too, to be like, oh, fuck it. Well, at least we'll have an idea to finish a song. But this time around, I want to like collect a bunch of ideas and then just listen to them on their own and, you know, see what happens from that instead of just trying to force something that sounds like one song and then get it to a point where it sounds like a completely different song, you know?
Yeah, I've fallen into that sort of like trap myself so many times where I'm like, well, I have these 2 ideas. One's in a different key, but if I change the key of this riff, it'll fit with this. But then it just ends up like you're just trying to fit 2 puzzle pieces together that just work better on their own.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, sometimes I've come up with cool ideas for Roman Ring stuff through that being like, here's a start and here's an end. How do we get there, you know, and then flesh the ideas from that. But I kind of just want it to be like, at least now, a bunch of people come up with ideas and then like see how the other guys react to them and what they think about it, you know, and like where it goes from there. But yeah, I just want it to be cool and exciting and fun to play. I mean, that's all, that's my main goal of it. And yeah, I guess we'll see what happens from that stuff, you know?
Cool and focused.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want it to be focused. That's the one thing is a goal of mine is like writing a little bit more focused songs, whatever that means, you know, in Roman Ring terms. But there are, I mean, like the Halogen, like I feel like Vatican City is pretty focused. I feel like Umbra Mortis is very focused. But the reasons I feel like that is because both of those were songs that were pretty much almost entirely written when they were brought to the table. Like Vatican went through a couple small changes. I'm sure it sounds entirely different from your original demo of it.
No, it's not too far off.
But a lot of the parts were there, you know?
Yeah.
And with Umbra Mortis, that was already almost a fully fleshed out song. And I added a couple parts, you know, I had a couple ideas to add to it to make it more rounded out. But, you know, I like those songs because they're, you know, very streamlined almost in a way. But then there's other songs like God Narcotic where it's just like this insane journey of a song. And like, and I like it because of that, you know? Yeah, so cool. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, man, when we were writing those records, I was working at Russell's Barbecue and I was still buying every new metal release that came out on a Tuesday, you know, and I was so into it. And now it's just like, I'm at such a completely different place in my life that like, I wonder what it'll be like, you know, it's just kind of like, see what happens.
Bill, I saw that you've been writing some quarantine tracks. Is any of that stuff going to end up in Roman Ring's new record? Or?
So far, it seems like no. Yeah, it's been a fun project. I've showed Jason a couple tracks, but I'm starting to get tracks back from people that have been working on them. And the results have been awesome. Like, it's so cool. Like, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of talented friends out there that want to be a part of it, which is great. And, but the idea was, it's essentially like just writing as much as possible and not really thinking like, oh, it has to be metal, it has to be this, it has to be that. Mm-hmm. And I even told Jason, I was like, yeah, if at any point in time there is some riff in there somewhere that you're like, that could totally be thrown into Roman Ring, I was like, let's go for it. It's fine. You know, I wrote it. It's okay. You know? I don't think
there's some ideas in there that I do want to
incorporate.
Yeah, at least I want to try out.
Yeah, or at least like themes, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily the same exact thing.
Exactly.
But the ideas.
Bill sent me some of those songs, and I was like, "Holy shit! I do want to hijack all this shit for Roman Ring." But then, like, I'd either be listening to it super baked or super tired, and I listen to it different times. So I'm like, "Yeah, this is cool," but I don't know if it would all fit. But then there was some shit where I'm like, "Oh, this could be really cool in a different way," you know, something we haven't done before. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that shit. But I've been listening to like everything I can as far as all that goes. So, and it has been cool. The songs that you've gotten back have been. There's some really interesting takes on a lot of the songs where it's like, whoa, I never would have pictured some of that, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's been cool because I know one of the ones that was funny was one of my old vocalists, dude, Steve Jensen. He was in Breaking Through with me. Phenomenal vocalist, really great singer. And when he reached out about the project, he was like, yeah, like I want to do it, you know, but I'm worried that you're gonna write a lot of heavy stuff that I just can't do. And I was like, I don't think you have to work, because at this point I think I was like 2 songs in maybe, and I told him, I was like, oh, don't worry about it. I was like, I'm gonna write whatever just comes up. Like it won't all be heavy. Like it'll all be pretty varied, hopefully. Yeah. And so like the second song in to me was like a heavy fucking song. Not quite as heavy as the first one, but it was definitely heavy. And he came back and sent me a mix that he did with his vocals, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever heard!" Like, the way I described it was like Alice in Chains, but heavy. You know?
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
A crazy take that I never would have expected from him, and like, super cool. And then same thing, my good friend Brian did the same song, and he's got like, you hit it on the head perfectly. You're like, he's clearly inspired by like the Mr. Bungle and like the Daughters kind of like crazy stuff. And so his approach is like none other than I would ever think of. Like I would never be like, oh, you should totally do these crazy talking parts or these whisper, like great ideas I never would have thought of in a million years. So to hear it, and then to hear those 2 totally different ideas is like crazy to see, which is a lot of fun. And then Rich, formerly of Warforged, he sent me a track. Like I know him as like vocalist, guitar player, bass player. He sends me back a track with a bunch of synth on it. And I was like, holy shit, this is so cool.
What song did he do that for?
I think that was song 2.
Okay.
And it just threw me through a loop. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is so fucking cool that's where he went with it. And it was awesome. So like, I'm hoping. And then a friend of mine reached out to her boyfriend, who I guess does a lot of synth work and orchestral style like stuff. And he's going to work on some tracks. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what he does with that. So it's been fun. And hopefully, I get more people. And then my cousin did a couple solos on stuff that I was like, that's so fucking cool. And soloed over parts I was like, oh, I didn't think you could put a solo there. And he did. And it sounds fucking awesome. So I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Like guitar solos?
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of writing without any sort of like direction, but because I've been trying to sort of adopt that approach of just writing whatever, like, you know, doesn't matter the genre. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed is that it's just way easier to come up with new ideas as you're doing it more often. Like it just starts to happen. Like you're coming up with better ideas more often because it's just like you're flexing that muscle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
definitely.
You just got to get. Sometimes you just got to get one idea out of your system to get to the next idea too. And like that is just such a huge. Like that's changed my entire like approach. I've just been writing without like a direction sometimes and just getting ideas out and then just seeing what it leads to. So that's awesome to see that it's working for you too. That's great.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it definitely helped that one time we jammed together on Wednesday. Yeah. Like it made it way easier for me to just kind of play over whatever he was doing.
Yeah, because we were just going for it, you know?
Because it's not too far off from what I do when I was doing this stuff by myself. Like it's funny. I joked with you and I ended up writing a fucking song out of it, but I had this little chord progression I showed Jason. I was like, this will go into a song. And then that's all I had. Mm-hmm. Was what I showed you was that chord progression. The next day went in and I was like, all right, let's play with it. And I was like, you know what? Let's start adding effects. Let's start doing this. Let's start doing that. And it just all of a sudden just turned into this whole thing. And, and it came out great. It was so much fun. And like, that's another one I'm excited to see what people do with that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, It did. Like, I definitely noticed when we jammed the other day, like, it was easier to come up with ideas because you've probably been doing it so much.
Like, it's just a little warmed up, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, there's no more rust really on me. And it's just like, all right. And the guitar playing is, like, a lot easier because I'm still, you know, I'm playing more guitar than ever, which is nice. And it's like an excuse to play more, which is great.
It is awesome. Yeah, it's cool. So, like, we're going to probably get together again this week and try to hammer out more ideas. But it's also been, I don't know, I've also been finding myself more inspired by some metal shit recently. Like that new Beneath the Massacre record that came out, dude, is just like violent
I haven't checked
sounding.
that yet.
It's fucking I mean, if anybody's been a fan of that band, they'll probably like it. But yeah, they like, it's just like everything I love in like a tech death record. And it's just like, they're like perfect at it. And I'm just like, well, goddamn, dude. Like, you know, you hear something like that and it's like, fuck, like I want to make something that's this cool, or that somebody likes it the way I like this. So, you know, it's definitely fun, you know, like listening to shit like that.
It's always great to hear when a band successfully does a comeback album, you know? It's such a rare thing to like come back and like keep everyone interested.
Yeah.
Pulling that off.
Exactly. It's wild. And I mean, I literally think like that new record is their best record, period. Like, I think it's, I think it's better than anything they've done before. And like the drummer on it specifically is like phenomenal. All the shit he does is everything that's in my stupid ass head that I can't play. And he's just like doing it. I'm like, fuck, this is so cool. Like, yeah, it's killer. So, you know.
Is it the same lineup?
They have a different drummer. It's everybody except their drummer is that dude. Do you remember that guy, Anthony Barone?
That name sounds really familiar. He's play with.
He was in that band Native Construct for a long time. Like that was his main project. And then he was in Aegean. Do you remember them, or Aegean?
Yeah, I do.
He was in that band for a while, and then he bounced in between a lot of metal bands. Like I know he did some touring with Whitechapel when they lost their main drummer, and he was in a deathcore band called The Night in Texas. He did a lot of like deathcore shit that I was never really on board with, and then like I think now he plays in that. He's the live drummer for Baby Metal. So he doesn't tour with Beneath the Massacre, but he did this record with them, and I'm just like, oh shit, this guy's like perfect for a band like this. And like the drums are like before they were on 10, now they're on like 12. And it's just like, well, like I couldn't play this shit before, but now I definitely can't play it. But it's just cool. There's so much like tasty, flavorful grooves, you know, shit going on under these like insane death metal parts. It's cool. I love it. And a long time, like when I first found out he was in that band, like, or on the record, I was like, I knew it was going to sound sick, but in my head, I was like, man, I don't want to admit it that this is going to be the sickest drum performance they ever had. And then the album came out and I was like, you know what? Why am I holding this dumb barrier in my head? This guy rips. Like, he's awesome. And then he, like, I follow him on Instagram and he shows like him playing all these parts and I'm like, God damn it. He's so sick. But, you know, I don't know. It's just dumb shit in my head. But, yeah.
That's awesome, though. Like, I haven't listened to anything, like, really technical or extreme like that in a minute. So it'd be good to put something like that on.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, too. It's like, there's so much of it now that I've had such a distaste for it. But hearing, like, a record like that was like, okay, I could still get down with shit like this when it's done the right way. So that was cool for me, at least. Because, like, I don't know. Instead of listening to the 1975's new singles on repeat or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird to consider the fact that I'm more excited by a band like that than a lot of other metal bands now. So, but, you know, people tastes change and whatnot.
I definitely can sympathize with that. Like, I never thought I'd be super into Prince, you know? Like, that was kind of something that came out of left field for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like listening to stuff that he put out in like the 90s when, you know, kind of when he was putting out some of the worst material he's ever put out. Yeah. And there's like still some gems in there, you know? Yeah. And it's not something I would normally listen to, but I've gotten like so used to listening to him specifically that at this point I'm just like, I'm going to listen to anything he puts out. He's brilliant, you know, even the bad stuff, because it like informs you about him as an artist and like the choices that he made.
Yeah.
And to get like a really complete picture of somebody like him, especially someone who's like as diverse as he is, you know, he did like the pop thing and the rock thing, and like He's got some stuff in the 90s that's like more like sort of hip hop, like New Jack Swing sort of thing.
Cool.
And it's just like really cool to see him like evolve throughout the years, record after record after record. He's got like 40 albums, you know.
Yeah. Jesus, that's a lot.
And some of his unreleased stuff is like better than some of the records he's put out. Like the unreleased stuff is amazing.
Yeah, I believe it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's one dude that I respect a shitload that I'm so unfamiliar with other than the singles.
Just read his Wikipedia article, man. There's just like so much stuff in there about like him as like not only like about him and his music, but just like the decisions that he made as an artist, like even changing his name to a symbol to get out of his like recording contract. And he was one of the first like musicians to use the internet to sell his music. Like before Napster was a thing. He started like around 2001. He started a website called like the NPG Music Club, because it's New Power Generation was the name of one of his like groups, because it was like Prince and the Revolution, and in the 90s he had Prince and the New Power Generation. So he had the NPG Music Club, and he was releasing music through that website where people would pay a subscription fee way before Spotify.
I've heard about this. Else. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to pay a subscription fee for his website, and he'd put out like songs and albums and whatever as time went on. And that was way before anyone was doing any of that stuff. And then like out of the blue, he just shut it down because he felt like it.
Yeah, that's insane. That's so fucking crazy to me. Are there any good documentaries about that dude out there?
I haven't seen any. There's like a bunch on YouTube of like homemade ones, but I haven't really watched any of them. I'm still like there was... like a year ago, Netflix announced that they were going to be putting something together, but as far as I've seen it, it hasn't surfaced yet. Yeah.
That would be awesome to see.
He was also one of the first people to bundle his record with a ticket. So he did this like insane, like 30-night run of the O2 Arena over in the UK, and he ended up bundling his new album with every ticket sold. So his record like charted, like it destroyed it like on the Billboard charts, because basically all these people went to go see him and they got his record for free. And he was like the first person to do that.
Yeah.
And then they ended up changing the rules of how you can distribute your album, or rather how it's counted towards the Billboard chart because of that. Yeah.
Wow.
Just like so ahead of the curve. And like a lot of the stuff he did wasn't successful because it was just too early on. I've got like so much respect for that guy. Yeah, awesome. I can talk about him forever.
yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I know you know a lot about that dude. There's one of the singers I like in Brockhampton is like a huge Prince fan, and I've listened to Prince because I like that guy so much. So it's definitely something I've dabbled in. But I want to take like a deep dive into that dude's, just that dude. Period. His like whole like life and his catalog. Obviously, if there's 40 records, I mean, you know. And it's undeniable. I mean, that's like Prince is somewhat of a household name. You know what I mean? A lot of people know who he is, you know, and to be that type of eccentric of a person and have that level of fame, I always think is super cool.
Yeah, recently I saw this YouTube video where somebody had like gone, I think it was photos from like after Prince died, where like the police did a walkthrough, because obviously like his house is a crime scene. Yeah. And Paisley Park is a giant compound. That's where he died. It's like a mixed use facility. So he would like play shows there and host like parties there, and like he would live there too. And like they walked through, and there was like just photos of like every single room in the house and every single like hallway, and just like seeing like this guy who's an artist lived in the most strange looking place. Like he had different rooms that were themed along to his record. So he had an album called the Black Album, and he has a room, and it's like called like the Black Room. And then he has like the Purple Rain Room. And then he's got like this other, you know,
wow.
He's just like this really eccentric sort of Willy Wonka sort of like character.
It's wild. How did he pass away? Was it a drug overdose?
Drug overdose. Yeah. Similar to Michael Jackson.
He got the same drugs that Tom Petty died of. The
fentanyl.
Fentanyl. Yeah. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah. He was taking painkillers, and the jury's still out on whether he knew what was in them. Like they think that he was. Some people think he was. There's like a conspiracy theory that says that he was killed by somebody, you know, to get his money and his inheritance or whatever. But people, as far as I know, he didn't know what he was taking, and nobody knew it was laced. And he died in the elevator of Paisley Park. Like, there's actually a photo of his body. Like, there's a death photo out there if you want to Google that.
Oh, wow.
That's fucked up. You ever see Chris Farley's death photo? That one's horrifying, dude.
Who?
Chris Farley.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do you look
like foam coming out of his mouth or whatever.
Dude. That's fucked. If you want to be traumatized while you're listening to this, go on Google and search Chris Farley dead. But,
celebrity death photos.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. That is scary. Like, ugh my God. I was watching the scene in, oh, fuck, what was the Chris Farley movie? Alex sent it to me. No, it wasn't Tommy Boy. It's
Black Sheep. Almost Heroes.
Almost
Beverly
Heroes, I think.
Ninja.
It's the one where he's like doing like the political rally. I think it's
that's Black Sheep.
Is that Black Sheep?
Mm-hmm. Almost Heroes is the one that's like the Western.
David Spade.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he's doing in this movie. He's like, or the scene. He's like doing all these movements, like getting everybody hyped up.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
That's
great. That guy rules. Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that he's no longer here, but yeah, he made some great movies.
And that's insane that like
27
on a scale of like, because like when you hear a guy like Prince and people are like, yeah, somebody drugged him to get his money, that makes sense to me. But then you look at Ollie Herbert from fucking All That Remains, and everybody's like, his wife killed him for his money. It's just like, man, I wonder if they're both up in heaven like commiserating right now.
Right.
Like Ollie Herbert
that?
and Prince hanging.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's so funny to me. What if Prince was fucking produced an All That Remains record?
Man, I forgot about Ollie Herbert. As sad as that is.
Yeah. There was a big thing where
I believe it's still going on. It's like the whole, justice for Ollie thing going on.
But like, yeah, Phil Labonte came out swinging against his wife.
Did he really?
Yeah, yeah. Like everybody was pretty convinced that he like.
I don't know. Like I don't know how much you've heard, but it all seems pretty fucking suspicious.
Yeah, it does for sure. There's a lot of Lamb Goat articles about it you could dig up if you were interested, but
I'll check it out. I'll go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, right. What else is there to do now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all have time.
Yeah. Well, the fact that I saw a music video recently of All That Remains did a like another like country-esque single, but the guest vocalist was the singer from Asking Alexandria. And him and Phil are like co-singing the chorus. It's insane, dude. It's insane to think that that band was like a metal band and still somewhat is trying to be.
Right.
But like, wow. Like, I don't even know who it's for. Like, I listen to a song like that. I'm like, who's it supposed to appeal?
Who's listening to
honestly,
this?
It feels like it appeals to like moms, like watching the Lifetime channel. It's like, what? This is All That Remains? Like, what is like, no, dude, what happened to like This Darkened Heart type shit? Like show a fucking like a Lifetime movie fan like me that they would probably hate it, but I love it. I don't know where I'm going with this. Clearly I'm running out of steam here.
No, we've been going for 3 hours. So
shit. Yeah. Maybe we should
can
call
start
it.
winding down. Yeah. So Paul, anything you want to plug?
Not really. I mean, check out Silver Lace. Things are kind of up in the air right now. We'll see what, we haven't released anything yet. So, nothing to report.
I hear you.
That's fair.
Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled regardless.
Jason.
It's music in the age of quarantine. You never know when you're going to release something.
Yeah, right.
I'm expecting a lot of releases by the end of this quarantine.
Yeah, at least a lot of cool music, being written. Do I have anything to plug? Nope. I have nothing to plug other than our record that's out. The Halogen is out still. You could still find it on Bandcamp. If you're looking to support it, you could grab it there. That's pretty much it. That's all. I have nothing else to report. I saw this set of Golden Girls tiki glasses that I was looking at buying, but they're like $100 for the set, and it's total waste of money.
Singleton posted that. I saw.
Did he?
Yeah.
I love the Golden Girls.
That's fair.
But like, I'm not spending $100 on some glasses that I'm never gonna fucking use.
Dude, Klarna that shit. It'll be fine.
I'm already Klarna-ing way too much shit as it is now. I Klarna this JBL speaker.
Oh no, you're out of control.
No, I got it under wraps, but right now I'm tapped out on the Klarna shit.
Okay. Well, then just save the glasses for later.
Yeah, because I want a tiki glass of B. Arthur staring at me while I'm fucking drinking something out of it.
Learn to make mixed drinks during the quarantine.
Man, I don't want to. I would, but like I've always thought about like doing all this shit, but it's like being on lockdown makes it so much harder for me to want to do it because it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could go out and go to the store and get a bunch of ingredients, but like, nah.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. I'll do something cool, just not that. I just don't want a bunch of booze sitting around my house when I don't really drink that much.
Just make it for other people.
I don't want to do that either. So,
especially not that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I don't want to do. Unless I went to somebody's place and they're like, "Hey, do this," but you can't do that. You can't. I wonder if people are pissed off that we're even here right now.
I mean, you're pretty far away from me. Paul can't be any further. True.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever. Personal ethics there. Anyway, too long of a plug. I got nothing to plug.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
I'll plug Javi.
Yeah, what's up, Javi?
That's a shout out.
Hell nice. Yeah, sweet. Well, thanks, man. Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, just the quarantine project. I know I got a lot of friends that listen to this show, and if anybody's interested, hit me up. It's been fun so far. Basically, I just have a Google Drive that has all the songs in a bunch of folders, and I put everything in there as far as the audio like files go, the MIDI drums and everything. The guitar DIs are all in there, so if people want to fuck around like
hell yeah,
practicing on mixing some shitty music, then this is perfect for them. And then if people want to add to it. What's that?
I'm going to give that stuff a listen. I'm going to see if there's anything I can contribute. That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it, man. It's, the idea is to try to be as creative as possible with stuff that you may not have ever thought of working on, which that's kind of the fun of it. And like I said, I'm not trying to be varied with it, but it's just kind of happening because I'm not allowing myself to say no to a lot of parts. It's just kind of like I get an idea of like a riff for a chord and I'm like, all right, let's just see where it goes. And it just kind of evolves into whatever it's going to evolve in. And always in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, well, I want it to be digestible enough that people can work on it in some way. So whether it's vocals, guitars, or whatever they want to add, it's easy enough for them to do. And then on top of that, like I know a lot of people have their at-home studios and probably want to work on mixing and mastering stuff. This is something they can do. That way they can just concentrate on that. Because that's kind of been the idea of it for me too, is to work on mixing and mastering. It's something I've always toyed with and not good at. So the more you do it, obviously, the better you get at it. So it's been fun for me to do that. And then to take the stuff that people have brought to me and try to mix that has been cool. It's been a challenge in a good way. So yeah. So if anybody's interested and wants to be a part of it, anybody can. I'm not going to close it off to nobody. And like we'll see, we'll have multiple versions of songs coming out eventually. I'm still trying to figure out how to release this in some way, so we'll see.
What's the best way to find that? Is that on your Facebook?
Yeah. Just hit me up on Facebook or send me a text with your email, and I'll link you the folders and everything.
Sick.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So should be fun. Hopefully. So far, it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people that have been doing it have been messaging me saying like how much fun they've had working on this stuff. So that's good. Cool. That's what all I really wanted.
Doing it for the people, man.
Yeah, for everybody that's
the Church
stuck
of Bill,
inside.
Dude. Church of WTF, man.
Yeah, the WTF Church.
Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I got to plug.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, man. This was awesome.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. We'll get you back on here soon.
Rock and roll. Nice.
All right, man. Well, sweet.
Right.
Thanks for
Love
listening,
you guys.
everybody.
Love you too, Paul.
Stay safe. Stay inside. Stay indoors.
You too,
unless
man.
you're doing a podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
See ya.
See you, dude.
Right. See ya.
Bye.
Get it?
Do you want me to do the plug?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
You do it. I always do it.
I got to do all this. No, that's fine. I can do it. Thanks, everybody, for checking out this week's episode. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give us a like or hit the subscribe button and make sure you see the notifications whenever we post something new, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all that fun stuff. We're on everything like everybody else is. So thank you as always, and we'll see you next week. Bye.